Hello there, you spectacular specimens of humankind, you happy-go-lucky scamps. Oh my lordy.
Most kind.
Kicking things off straight away.
She's back from the USA and she is freshly bone-rattled. It's your local human cartoon character, Abby Stabby.
You are my local cartoon character, Abby Stabby. Not only that, but we had you and we had Milky Pork. How you doing, Milky Pork, as well? Your glory has been. Hello! 41 months, Abby Stabby. Abby Stabby has been given the order. The order of new emotes, by the way, friends. So fear ye not, that is all going on there. Abby Stabby and Milky Pork. I shall now describe your names on the mirror vein. By having your names on the mirror vein means you get access to my personal Snapchat, not a bum Snapchat, you cheeky devil, as both of you know by now. Good lord, 2 years for Milky Pork and 41 months. Approaching 4 years for Abby Stabby. Good lord. You of course get access to all those sexy little emotes. You also get access to my personal Snapchat. Not a bum Snapchat. I'm sure I've said that, but just want to hammer it in just in case. And of course you get access to all the emotes. The emotes that Abby Stabby has done the things. Do you know what I mean? And Abby Stabby is creating more emotes for us. But the most important thing, as well, you know, the most important thing is you got to roll over every morning, look in the mirror. Good God, I look rough. Well, god damn, do I make rough look good? Ooh, sexy. Ooh, yes, meow, you know? You know, you cheeky devils. How are we doing, friends? How you doing? How's it going? Let me actually throw up all of the joys and what have yous, you know. How's it going, Milky Pork? Hello, Eris Ptolemy, you glorious individual. Misty Nixia, hello, you beautiful bean. I hope everyone's been having a good weekend so far. Last weekend. Painted Lady, how you doing? How's it going, Phoenix of the Fens? Evening all. Hope everyone's staying safe and warm in this awful weather. Yes, we are once again being hit by a massive storm in the UK. The winds have been killing people, actually. There's been a couple of people that have died. They've been hitting 100 miles an hour in Scotland. And then between 60 and 80 in the northern parts of England. Down here, it's been about 63 where I live in the UK, which has been wild amounts of excessive windiness. Do you know what I mean? I keep telling Chunk to stop trumping, but he can't help it. You are the pit of excessive windiness. It's true. It's true. Country Babe, how you doing? I'm here for ready for Mythical Mondays. Indeed, yes, very good. We're going to get deep diving some shit. I've already read, even in the brief, like I kind of pull some stuff up so that I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start looking at stuff, you know? Even what I've briefly read has already been fascinating, so I'm looking forward to deep diving witches. Oh, the witches, you know? Ooh, it's a little too hot in my little cauldron there. Zooty Booty, how you doing? How's it going? Stupedia, you glorious bean. How's it going? Calandra, hello. Oh, my lordy. Phoenix of the Vents coming in here, streaking all over the place. With Egghog as well. Oh, my lordy, the pair of you. What have I told you? It's too windy for this shit. Put some clothes on. You need to wrap up against the cold. Good lord. What do you like, eh? What do you like, you cheeky little devils, you? How you doing, Abby Stabby? I'm glad that you are back home safe. I am glad that you've had your bones rattled. I'm glad that the internal organs are all mushed into one giant internal organ now. But you're still, so long as you can keep drawing me emotes, I'm okay with this. I'm all right with this. And, you know, it puts a big smile on your face. So I'm all good. Excited to learn about witch history today. Exactly. All of the witch history. The history of witches. Which is, yeah, like I said, I've already said, it's already fascinating. On the job, Valen getting explained. Shoepedia, I think we're going to drop that one. I think we're going to, as much as it was very entertaining at the time, I think we're going to drop that little joke there, all right? We're going to drop it. It's all good, okay? But I did find it very, very amusing. I just don't want it to get to a point where it gets overused. Do you know what I mean? I'm here, got hit with the same bad news just a bit ago. Oh, got hit with some bad news just a bit ago. So, posting the Discord after stream, trying not to focus on it due to not wanting to cry. How was the weekend with the... yep. Me and McSteffels had a fucking wonderful weekend. Thank you very much, Eris Ptolemy. Had an absolutely fucking wonderful weekend. It was very chill. It was very calm. It was very relaxed. But, yeah, it was really, really nice. And then I started writing a book. Because I was bored on the train home. So, I started writing yet another book. And many of you who follow my other social medias like Threads or Facebook or what's the other one? Twitter. I refuse to call it X. I will always refuse to call it X because it makes no fucking sense. You will have seen me posting something just like literally like, hey friends, how many like unfinished projects do you have? Like how many projects have you actively started and then be like, oh, I'll get around to it eventually? The amount of comments I've had from various different people just being like, oh, I see you woke up today and chose violence. And it's like, no, it's because I'm that person. I am 100% that person. I was literally starting a brand new fucking book, a scientific book, non-fiction and everything on the train home, and proceeded to fail miserably continuing any of the other projects I've got going on, you know? You know? But I hope everything is, well, I hope whatever the bad news is, Eris Ptolemy, you find a way to find a silver lining with it. Every bit of bad news has a bit of silver lining. Even if it's very, very small, you know? Even if it's very, very small. Kite flying weather, yeah, could you imagine Calandra? Only it's less kites and more bins. You know? Nevi Versal, how you doing? How's it going? Man is a Trump. Don't say that, Abby Stabbing. They'll think that Trunk's into political commentary. You know? Witch history? The history about witches. Yeah. The witch history? One of the witch histories. You know what I mean? Very powerful nerd. How you doing? How's it going? Got the go live notification from Cherry Kitten's Discord. Oh, I didn't even realize I popped up in Cherry Kitten's Discord. That's very kind. I really appreciate that. Welcome on in. How you doing? How's it going? How are you doing? I popped into Cherry Kitten's stream the other day. Very interesting conversations that were going on. Very, very interesting conversations going on in that stream. Quite windy. Also, southwestern Finland had a snowstorm. I'm hoping we avoid the snow. We're definitely getting like Arctic blasts and shit, but I'm hoping we avoid the snow. I walked back from the train station as well. I was like, oh, I could get a lift. I could get like a taxi or something. I was like, do you know what? No, I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk. I'm going to use my sexy pins. Me northern pins that I call legs.
Yeah,
you know?
Subscribed. Most kind.
Oh my lordy. Jam.
I saw finally the futility of all these gestures. That witchcraft is but a matter of focus, that one can apply one's fierce and immeasurable energies to an act of choice. And Rice, happy sub-anniversary to me. etc anyway Babylon.
Anyway, Babylon. Anyway, etc, etc. Anyway, Babylon. How's it going, Jam, you cheeky devil? Thank you very much for coming in for the 41 months. I know that you were busy last week. I hope that whatever it was you were busy with was delightful and glorious. Hope it was wonderful. It's going amazingly. I'm glad to hear it. I'm very glad to hear it. Jam Brain. I should unscribe your name on the mirror vein. By having your name on the mirror vein, it means you get access to my personal Snapchat, not a bum Snapchat, you cheeky devil. And of course, you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you gotta roll over every morning, look in the mirror. Oh God, I look rough. But goddamn, do I make rough look good? Ooh, sexy. Ooh, yes, meow. 4 D1s? Well, yeah. A D1 is just a sphere, right? A D1 would be like a marble. That makes sense. Just a cheeky little marble. Cheeky little. Who needs anything else? You got D1, roll your D1. Shit, they keep rolling. They don't ever stop. They just keep rolling. Oh my God, bastards. You know? An autobiography? No, not this time. I don't have the capacity to remember half of my life, never mind anything else. I would love to get to a stage of wonderful famousness where somebody else wants to write my biography. Do you know what I mean? That would be glorious. That would be glorious. Somebody else was just like, oh my God, that Van Vane guy, he's so very interesting. His life was so peculiar and delightful. They're going to go and do all the research. They're going to go and ask all of my...
Little stalker.
Thank you so much for the follow, you beautiful individual. They're going to go ask all my friends and family and stuff about what kind of human being I was growing up. They could do all the work. That would be great. That would be wonderful. And then my life would be available for all people to read. And I would remember none of it. I would read my own autobiography because I can't remember jack shit. You know? That's no worries. Thank you very much, Stupedia. I appreciate your understanding, friend. I appreciate your understanding. Evening, lovely peoples. How you doing? How's it going? Here we're having garlic dough balls. That sounds fucking delicious. Shade Secrets. That sounds fucking delicious, you glorious bean. Captain Bambi's Revenge. Hello. How you doing? How's it going? Only my book. I'm stuck on constant writer's block. I just start a new book. Get writer's block, start a new book. I one stage I had about 9 on the go, and none of them ever got very far. Well, I say none of them ever got very far. I think the most I ever wrote was I wrote about 12 chapters of a fantasy novel that when I was really ill, when I was about a teenager. I wrote like a 12 excuse me. I was given, this was back when laptops weren't really a fucking thing. I was given a laptop. It was an old laptop at the time as well, so it was really fucking old. And it was like, hey, Valen, if you want this laptop, you can have it. It was an old green screen laptop. That's how old it was. Its screen was green. There was no other colors, just green. Light green and dark green. And I was very, very ill, and I couldn't really move out of bed at the time. So I just sat and I wrote, and I typed, and I typed, and I typed, and I typed, and I typed. And I wrote about 12 chapters. I wrote about 12 chapters of this book that was all about this a selection of lizard folk, if I remember correctly. And it was really, really interesting and fascinating. And then one morning I woke up and I found because I'd been like lying on a mattress on the floor because my bed, basically I'd been so ill. My bed was like a top bunk that was right near the ceiling. So we'd pulled, because I was so ill and because my parents needed to look after me and what have you, they pulled the mattress off the top bunk and put it on the floor so that they could get to me nice and easily, you know? And yeah, I woke up one morning and found that the laptop that I had been using, its battery acid had just spread across the entire floor, or across my entire bedroom floor. And yeah, that was the end of that.
Yeah,
I refused to work on it again.
Most kind.
Sorry, Greenfire.
Blessed be. Merry we meet, merry we part. Blessed be.
Blessed be to you as well, Athari, you cheeky devil. Oh, cheeky. I will now inscribe your name upon the mirror vein. Ooh. I almost wrote blessed be there. By having your name upon the mirror vein, it means you get access to my personal Snapchat, not a bum Snapchat, you cheeky devil. And of course, you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you got to roll over every morning, look in the mirror. You go, God, I look rough. But god damn, do I make rough look good. Ooh, sexy. Oh, yes, meow. You know? You cheeky individual, you. Can't believe it's been 26 months, Asari. 26 months. Good Lord, friend. Good Lord. That is outrageous. And bear with me, chums. I've just remembered I once again have forgotten to do something that I needed to do. Cool. Done it now, though, so we're all right. All good. X, probably the worst rebranding in history. Oh, Neviversal, it's awful. It's awful. Mainly, do you know what? Even from like a purely branding point of view, calling the channel X means that you can't copyright it. You can't copyright it. The X that is the Twitter's new logo is actually just it's just an X from a font. Like it in itself cannot be copyrighted, which means that anyone can use the X branding however the fuck they want, and Musk can do nothing about it. Absolutely fucking nothing about it, which I find fucking hilarious. Day off for me today. Read 5 graphic novels and peruse some art books. It's been very wholesome. Oh, I love that. Getting inspiration. All of the inspiration, you know. Tornado alerts up north. Jesus.
Yeah, you subscribe.
Oh my lordy, what is going on today?
Kind.
What is happening? Coming back with the Prime Div Law, you cheeky devil. 4 months. 4 whole months with the Prime. Thank you very much for choosing to use your Prime here. You can use it anywhere, and you choose to use it here. I shall now inscribe your name upon the mirror vein. Deploy! By having your name upon the mirror of any means, you get access to my personal Snapchat, not a bum Snapchat, you cheeky devil. And of course, you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you go roll over every morning, look in the mirror. Good God, I look rough. But god damn, do I make rough look good. Ooh, sexy. Ooh, yes, me. Yeah. You know? I had to move my microphone as well, by the way, friends. I had to move my microphone over to this side, which means you can't see the fish as well. But the cable, I'm still waiting on another cable. Well, I say I'm waiting. I haven't ordered another cable yet. I'm going to order a new cable, a new audio cable that means that I've got more room for activities. But, you know, doing all the bits and pieces, you know, doing all the bits and pieces. I'm so glad that you got that. Oh, very powerful net. I try my best. Cheeky devil. The D1 is one of those toys you can never dump down. What, the Weebles wobble? Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. That whole thing, you know. So a D1 has the same shape as a D infinity. Yeah, effectively. Zabadian. So long as it's got one side. Effectively, yes. You know. Me so happy watched it about a year ago. Fantastic. Aw, I love that. Lurk away, Abby Stabby, you cheeky devil. Lizard folk are the best. I mean, to be fair, the novel that I wrote certainly painted them in a fantastic light. But after losing it all, I was just like, I was so disheartened about it all. I was just like, I'm never writing again. And to be fair, I didn't for about, I don't know, 10 years? 10 years or something. I refused to write any kind of novel because it was just not worth the pain that I went through of losing it, you know? Yeah, I know. Even sick, you can still do this. Oh my lordy, Zana, you're ill and you decide to go around with your bits out on a 10-stream streak, streaking all over the place. You are. Good lord, it's too cold for this shit. Too cold for this shit. All right. Misty Nix, on the topic of stories, I made a whole lot of progress in world building for my biggest one of these past few days, Pantheon, Magic System, and Alchemy. Ooh, that sounds exciting. That sounds very exciting. Samsa Glaze, how you doing, you beautiful individual? Enjoy the jacket. Thank you very much. It's a gown. I'll show you momentarily. Because we've got like adverts in like 7 minutes or something like that. But I will show you momentarily about the delight that is the entire jacket, you know. Is that a cravat or a similar necktie article that you have around your neck? Looks suave as fuck. Actually, I am wearing it as a cravat, but it's actually a, what type of fabric is it? I don't know, like a thin gauzy material. There's a specific name for it, and I cannot think for the life of me what it is. But it's like a neck scarf, and it's about this long, a little bit longer. It's like a neck scarf, but I've decided to wear it as a cravat. I do own cravats, but it didn't have the right aesthetic that I was after. I was after a much more of a neckerchief kind of scenario, you know. I'm very much going for the Vincent Price look, you know what I mean? Very much going for the Vincent Price look. Love you some TTRPGs? Ah, very powerful nerd. I've been in many. I have been in many a TTRPG. There are some fantastic TTRPG shows on Twitch. I used to be part of a team called Adventure Tavern. We did a whole load of shows on there. They're all still on YouTube because they're all, in fact, if you ever decide to join our Discord, which there is no pressure to do so, there is actually a tabletop roleplay section in there that's dedicated to tabletop roleplays, and there is a pinned post in there that is all of the tabletop roleplay shows that I've ever been on, from a parallel universe to Warhammer 40k, Vampire the Masquerade with Table Story, fucking Alien Isolation style one with Wandering In. I've done a few with Wandering In, and I was just like a guest slot on the Table Story one, which was fucking amazing. But yeah, I've done a whole load of them. It was great. Very much enjoyed it. Done a whole load of them with Adventure Tavern as well, but unfortunately Adventure Tavern is taking an indefinite hiatus. you know? An indefinite hiatus. You know? You're not getting me on that broomstick that fast. I have a hidden layer here and a dragon guarding it. Look, sometimes you just gotta ride that broomstick. You gotta ride it real good. Do you know what? That is something that I would love to talk about today. So for those people that don't know what the fuck is going on, all right? Once a month, we pick a Monday that is going to be Mythical Monday, all right? Mythical Monday is when we delve deep into the origin of a specific myth, a specific creature, so to speak. We have done vampires, we have done zombies, we have done the curse of the mummy. So not just Egyptians, but like where did the curse of the mummy come around? The idea of mummies coming back from the dead to haunt the living. We have done Krampus for December. Today we are doing... Ooh, cheeky. Today we are doing witches. And we are going to be looking at that. Next month, for the romantic month of February, we are going to be doing succubus. And I haven't planned further ahead than that. But effectively, we deep dive together. I've got some resources that I've pulled up already, and we will look into it all together so that we're all on the same page. We're all investigating things. But one of the things that I really want to do today is look at the origin of witches riding broomsticks, because that is filthy, and I love it. All right? I absolutely fucking love it. Slightly exaggerated. How you doing? How's it going? I love your name. I'm only slightly exaggerated. Just slightly. Just having a good time. Actually, no, I'm having an amazing time.
Now we're going to do something extremely fun. We're going to play a wonderful game called Who is My Daddy and What Does He Do?
Great game. Love that game. Apparently, Stupedia is my daddy by throwing those 200 bits there. Thank you very much for your 200 panderings. I keep forgetting the blurb is even a fucking thing. I keep forgetting. I was like, oh my god, did I leave somebody's like stream on and I've just accidentally unmuted it somehow? What the fuck how did I do this? What? Excuse me? No. It's a blurp sound effect. Thank you very much for the 200 little panderings, Stupedia. I appreciate it. Friend. Yeah, I really want to look into the origins of the broomstick thing, because the broomstick thing is real interesting and filthy as fuck, and it makes me very, very happy. You know, how the devil are we? Doing very, very well, thank you. Doing very well. How are you doing? How was your weekend? Got any public repository for it, or is it private? Are you asking me specifically, very powerful nerd, or are you asking somebody else in chat? Do we have a no, sorry, no, we're not having one today. We're all good. We're gonna chill and be educational. Do you know what I mean? How you doing, Finley? How's it going, you glorious individual? Oh, it's gonna be a comic, and been very tempted to make the world into a TTRPG. Creative process behind creating one is so interesting. Love it. If you would like to promote yourself, Misty Nix, we have loads of sections in the Discord. That goes for everybody. We have a self-promo section for if you are literally wanting to turn around and be like, hey, friends, look at my products. They are here. Or look at my streams. Or look at my YouTube videos. Like, all of that should go in the self-promo section. But if it's just like, hey, I've got this really cool fucking, like, world that I am building and what have you. We've got tabletop roleplay sections. We've got all kinds of nerdy sections, which I love. I love the fact that we indulge in this shit. Do you know what I mean? Love the fact we indulge in this shit. Feel like a weeble in this weather. To be honest with you, Phoenix of the Vents, I feel that. I feel that in my little soul, you know? I must have understood the context and got excited. Still glad for you. Wish you on luck. Bon courage. Not bon voyage, bon courage. I like that. I like the way you did that, nerd. I like the way you did that. I also love the fact that your abbreviation of your name is VPN. That tickles me. That actively tickles me. You know? Yep. Let me just give you the follower thing there, very powerful nerd, so that you can now post around the Discord as you see fit. As you see fit, you know? Aldo, how you doing? National Emergency Notification Scheme. Baritone squirrels are taking over the planet. Take shelter immediately and learn to sing alto. To be honest here, Aldo, I think that we are probably all right. And the reason why I think we're probably all right is because outside the house are 60-mile-an-hour winds. And I don't know whether you've ever seen a squirrel try and run in the wind, but they don't get very far. They don't get very far. They are usually dust out of the vicinity, you know? Currently playing in Dark Heresy and VTM5 games, among others. Glad to see others in the scheme. Oh, yeah, 100%. Fucking great. There was one point where we had a group of people in the community who were running a game together, which was cool as fuck. But yeah, friends, in a moment there will be an advertisement. It will last for exactly 3 minutes. It doesn't matter how many ads they tell you that you're going to get. The time allowance is still exactly the same. You will get only 3 minutes of adverts. You will not be missing out on anything. If you would like to stick through them, I would really appreciate it, because it does help me with ad revenue and what have you. But you won't be missing out on anything. Like in regards to conversations, I basically do a dance and show people what I'm wearing today. That is effectively what is going to happen now. All right, so fear ye not. Fear ye not. You will not be missing out on anything at all. Okay. Oh, in fact, they are literally running now. They are literally running now. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, and all genders outside and between. It's time for What is Valen Wearing Today? Valen Vane, in preparation of his delightful delve into the mythical realms of horror, has dressed slightly like Vincent Price today. He's wearing a nice black cravat, a nice white shirt. Should we see what else he's got on? Yes, friends, yes. Fucking knackered. Ah, yes, I'm also wearing a delightful smoking gown in a nice crushed velvet red. It makes me feel very elegant. And black trousers. Wonderful black trousers and socks, because my feet are cold. You know? My feet are cold. It's just the way it works, alright? It's just the way it works. Cold tootsies and shit, you know? You know? Oh my god. Fucking knackered now. Jesus Christ. How's it going, Zooey? Hello. I'm Mr. and Mrs. Crafting. Hello, you beautiful individual. Individuals, as the case may be there. All right, exactly. There you go. See, the wind. The wind is our savior from the evil squirrels.
We have a fire inside us. It gives us energy and spirit to do the things we love.
You bastard. You bastard. I have just realized something, friends. Huh. Interesting. Oh, you bastards. Okay, interesting. Never mind. Never mind. It's alright. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Just keep an eye on it for the time being. Anyway, where was I? I was asking the Missy Nicks earlier, yeah, if they were available to check out this. Oh yeah, no, it's cool. You don't have to by any stretch of imagination. If you would rather not, that is perfectly fine. I understand that every single creator on this platform has their own Discord, and I understand that there's a million. I'm literally a member of about 40 of them. You know, I remember like 40 Discords. I'd check maybe 5 of them, maybe 5 of them. You know, when I dressed up to the nines for today, looks a little bit like Simon the Sorcerer. I've got no idea who Simon the Sorcerer is. However, I did find out via the wonders of TikTok. For those people that don't know, I am on TikTok. And I do quite a lot of TikTok, actually. I post nearly every day. But for those people that don't know, I was doing a lot of different bits and pieces, and it was brought to my attention that there is an entire book series called The Sex Wizards. Somebody was comparing me to one of the characters from the book series The Sex Wizards. Sex Wizards book series. Magic is a rare gift that only exists in the bloodlines of the rich, the royal, and the reputable. Domini of Airedale, a poor hunter and forest guide, is barely one of those things. But after a moonlit encounter with the wizard Alisande, Domini's life is changed forever. She reveals that Domini has magic in his lineage even, and provides him with a letter of introduction to the Crux, the center of magical study in the kingdom of Stratham. Magical study is a far cry from the dusty tomes and ritual Dom was expecting. Instead, it is sex and desire, submission and surrender, loyalty and love, and above all, trust. But when trust of the Crux is betrayed, Dom must face his own insecurities and the unknown to protect his new home and his fellow wizards. Althena Faust's novel delivers risk-aware, consensual kink, hard BDSM, budding relationships between kind, emotional, mature adults, and a lot of butt stuff. There you go, that's book 1. Book 1 of the Sex Wizard series. You have now been educated.
Hand it to it! Hand it to it!
You've been educated. Shubedia, thank you very much for the 139 panderings. Is 139 not one of them? Bit alerts. 139 is not on the list. 139 is not on the list, you cheeky devil. You know, esteemed storyteller, the stage is set. The audience awaits in breathless anticipation. Pray, unveil the treasures of your oratory magic. What pearls of wisdom, what riveting tales shall bestow upon us today? Your words are not just utterance, but the heralds of an epic narrative unfolding. Slightly exaggerated. I love this. I love this.
Yeah,
I love the fact you've come in and just thrown that out there.
Most kind.
Max wattage
Sparkling hot.
for 49 months, Max. 49 months. That is outrageous. How you don't have a founder's badge? I'm gonna have to go revisit my founder's badges because how you don't have a founder's badge, I've got no idea. Max wattage By having your name upon the mirror evading means you get access to my personal Snapchat, not a bum Snapchat, you cheeky devil. And of course, you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you go roll over every morning, look in the mirror. Good God, I look rough. But goddamn, do I make rough look good. Ooh, sexy. Ooh, yes, meow. You know? You know this. You know this after 49 months, you cheeky devil. Dare you ask what Jiggly Vein is? In fact, I believe there is still... Do I still have the thingies? I can tell you what Jiggly Vein is. It's not 139, it's 169. 169. In fact, there should still be a channel point redeemed so that people can actually pull up the list of all of the numbers that have got unique attachments to them. Unique attachments. My weekend was the Sins of the Flesh update from Cult of the Lamb. I am now drunk, horny, dancing, vomiting, pooing, vandalizing, slurring, staggering idiots for followers. I love that. I love that. That's exactly the kind of people that I like following me around, you know? Apart from maybe the pooing. The pooing, probably not the pooing, you know? It's not available. Creation process has been slow because of disabilities, but it's coming along. As long as it's coming along, as long as it's all moving forward, Misty Nix, that's the most important bit, you know? If we wish you a merry... No, not yet. Not yet, Max Wattage. It's January, Max Wattage. It is January. Good Lord. January. Thank you very much, Max Wattage, for the 325. Good Lord. I was actually going to add a random 1,000 to that for any time that it wasn't December. So it was 1325 as opposed to 325. But fuck it, no one uses them enough, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not gonna do that. I ain't gonna fucking do that. I just fucking hate it. Do you know what I mean? I fucking hate it. I hate my own voice being replicated multiple times singing "I wish you Merry Christmas." I hate it. I hate it so much. Luke would be proud. Luke would be proud. Luke would be proud. If they fart 6 miles an hour, they're fine. Can you prove they can't fart 6 miles an hour? This is true. I can't do that, Aldo. I cannot do that, you know. Bon courage is a French for good luck, but you've got this. Good luck, you've got this. But with skills rather than luck being the factor in play, so you'd say over bon chance, which is good luck, in cases where your abilities, at least from how my Belgian ex explained it, mistakenly wish her bon chance once. Oh, right, okay. So bon chance is like, I hope that chance favors you, whereas bon courage is, I hope that your abilities have the... I believe your abilities have the ability to make this into a fortunate circumstance. I really like that, Powerful Nerd. I really like that. I really, really like that. How's it going, J2? How you doing? How you doing? I love a surprise when I won a raffle. Lovely book. Sai made some... 8 of it? So funny. What? Sorry? What book is this? What? Aldo, you cheeky devil. I see what you did. I see it in hindsight. It's not there now, but I see what you did. Curious and curious. Simon the Sorcerer. Oh, Simon the Sorcerer is a great game. Okay. Is it a Steam game? By the way, friends, I am now a Steam curator. All right. What does that mean, Valen? Let me tell you, friends. Let me tell you. It basically means that you can follow me. As I understand it, you can follow me as a curator. And then if any of the games that you are looking at pop up, then it'll be like this person that I've recommended or I've reviewed or what have you. Then it'll pop up and it'll be like, this person, this curator that you follow actually has reviewed this. You should look at it. But please be aware that the games that I have reviewed have been horror games and not safe for work games. So there's a good chance that if you do follow me on the old Steam, you'll get not safe for work games. All right, it's just a thing that's going to happen, which is great because it'll give you, if you're ever tempted to buy a not safe for work game, it can give you the exact information you will need on whether it's a worthwhile one. Because I can tell you right now, the vast majority of them are really upsetting. Really upsetting. but some of them are quite interesting surprises. You get like the occasional little surprise here and there. Played one recently that was a little surprise. I enjoyed it. You know? Fushine, been check these books out sometime. The magic system sounds intriguing, but you shag your way into magic. What was I looking for? Simon the Sorcerer? Simon the Sorcerer 3D? Simon the Sorcerer Origins? Simon the Sorcerer Origins, his planned release date is this year. Let's have a look. Music. Kindly pause. Kindly pause. For we are going to look at Simon the Sorcerer. There we go. Small Things Studios. 30 years later. A legendary saga returns. My god. It's a point and click game where somebody turned into... Oh my god, that's amazing. Simon the Sorcerer Origins, where he turned his face pixelated like I'm sure the original one ended up being. Good lord. There we go. That's releasing at some stage this year, apparently. Apparently. Oh my god. There you have it, chums. Cool. Get the music back on. Cheek a little music back on. Been 30 years. Apparently so. Apparently so. You know. It's changed because I remember it being 139. I just copied it over from what I had listed. Jigglypuff. Pokemon database. What number are you? Oh, maybe it was 139. Yeah, because it was number 39. And yeah, okay. Now I'll change that now. I'll change that now. One, 139. 139. Save. Save. And then I just need to move it. Oh, it's in the right place anyway. Okay. Alright, that's back to the way it was. Yeah, I just put 100 in front of the actual number of the Pokemon itself. You know? Yeah, I know. So random? Always. Always random. That's not what I expected, right? Thank you, Stupid. Thank you very much for the 200 little panderings just purely to applaud me. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh my god, that is actually amazing, Jamjar. That is actually amazing. A gift from Shade Secrets there. Which one's which, friends? Which one is which? In fact, you know what? Let's do it this way. The poll is up, friends. The poll is up. Which one is it? Is it the left one? Is this Val and Vane? Is this Val and Vane? Or are they, as is described here, the same picture? The choice is yours. Is yours. How's it going, Wild Squeak? How you doing, you beautiful individual? Simon the Sorcerer was a DOS game originally. How's it going, Mad Tech? How you doing, you glorious individual? There's a book about a wizard that fucks his way into magic. Apparently so. It's the Sex Wizard series. I've got no idea about it. I am damnably intrigued by it, though. It has to be said. It has to be said. You want to book in... Excuse me? Excuse me? Shoepedia, thank you very much for the 200 little panderings. I appreciate it. How you doing, Duchess Demona? You glorious bean. I'm a little bit behind. I'm a little bit behind on the old chat, but I'm catching up slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. You want to book in the raffle and making some art based on the wild fun themes inspired by it? Oh, that's really cool, Asari Greenfire. I'm really, really glad to hear that. Simon the Sorcerer in 3D. Well, it's not technically 3D. It's still point and click 2D. You know. Oh no, there was a game on there called Simon the Sorcerer 3D. So maybe going against everything you stand for, right? Sex Wizards by Alethea Faust. I don't know how good they are since I haven't read them yet. Do you own them though, Fushan? Do you own them? Is that something you own? Did not know about this. If these are all book recommendations, I'm all for it. Look, sometimes it's got to be done. Sometimes it's got to be done. You know? Good old Monster Piece Theater, right? What's the thing you're working on in Discord? Yeah! Glad to hear it, Zyra Greenfire. Check it out after Stream Strammaries. Check it out after the Stream Strammaries. Oh, did the wrong thing. That's fine. That's okay. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Do the thing. It's all good. Same damn picture, both sexy. It's too hard to tell, right? Can't help myself. That's it. Next year, next Mythical Mondays, I'm going to be dressed as the Cookie Monster. How's it going, Duchess Demona? How you doing, you beautiful bean? Let's see which one likes cookies. I am a big fan of cookies. I'm a big fan of cookies. I might possibly fight Cookie Monster for them. It has to be said. You know? How you doing today? I'm very good, thank you. A little bit sleepy. A little on the sleepy side. Travel back from thingies. Oh my lordy. The poll has ended. 73% of you said it was the same picture. Just from two different angles, obviously. 24% of you said it was the right one. And 3% of you said it was the left one. Studepedia contributed 500 channel points to this vote. 500 channel points. What a waste of channel points. What a waste of channel points. You cheeky devils. Good lord. Good lord. What do you like, eh? Right. If I close that and get this stuff sorted, all good. Cool. Cool. That's a sound and a half, right? Just, it was such a cackle. That specific sound. So if the people don't understand the sound that came with the cackling a second ago, the wheezy laugh, all right? If I remember correctly, that was a Mexican talk show. It was a guy from a Mexican talk show. It was a buddy, and you take it easy. Night, you take it easy, you beautiful bean. Sleep well, dream fondly, you glorious bean. It was a Mexican talk show when Trump was in power, when Donald Trump was in power of America.
Cookies!
Exactly. Big fan. I am a big fan of it. Thank you very much for the 200 panderings again, Stupedia. Throwing all your panderings at me today, all right? So yeah, so when Donald Trump was in power in America, he talked about building this giant wall. This giant wall that was never going to fucking happen because it was far too fucking expensive, far too labor intensive, and nobody fucking wanted it. Everyone's like, yeah, wall, yeah. And it's just like, have you actually thought about how that's going to happen? Oh, wait, it didn't happen because you fucking idiot. Anyway, there was a Mexican talk show about Donald, like the interviewer was saying to their guest, have you heard that Donald Trump has talked about building this wall? He wants to build a wall along the border between Mexico and the United States of America. And this guy was like, he wants to what? He's like, he wants to build a wall to keep the Mexicans from immigrating over to America. And that laugh that you heard, the wheezy laugh, is because this guy was just like, doesn't Donald Trump realize that airplanes exist? He was just like, are you for real? We'll just get on an airplane. What the fuck? What if he's building a wall? It just, airplanes exist. We can just go on the airplanes. What, he's trying to keep Mexicans out of the United States, but airplanes. And the whole thing is hysterical. I would strongly recommend you check out the interview because it is hysterical. There's no difference between the pictures, exactly right. They go on my Kindle right now. Let us know if they're any good, Wild Squeak. Let us know if they're any good. Just a delectable strawberry banana pudding cookie. Ooh, my lordy. Love a good bit of indulgence. Channel points you enjoy wasting is not a wasted channel point. Can't disagree with that, Milky Park. I can't. Almost sent me. Only one vote for left. Only one vote. Only one vote for left. Only one vote for the picture that was actually me. You know? It's not the same picture. It's not. It's not, indeed. You know? Been too long since I redeemed this. Could use a cheeky smolder. Cheeky. Well, hello there, you cheeky devil. Look at you coming in here, getting all of my business and all close and personal. I know. I know you can't help it. Having a bit of a bad time at the moment, but you thought, do you know what'll really cheer me up? A close-up of Valen Vane's face. A close-up of Valen Vane's face. Real close. Cheeky. I can't say I blame you. I am particularly attractive. I mean, it's just the only way I know how to be. I hope that my delightful features can bring you that cheeky little silver lining that you're really after. Because I know that things have been particularly bad at the moment, so take it easy, you cheeky devil. And send all of the love to the family. Cheeky. You know? Airplanes, the ocean, wall ain't gonna stop nothing. Exactly. Exactly. Fucking pointless. I tried to forget he was president. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. At all. You know? But we're not going to get into politics. Because we've got stuff to do, friends. We got things that need doing. And by things that need doing, I of course mean we're going to be deep diving into witches tonight. Into the delightful, cheeky little witches. So what I'm going to do, friends, is I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to go visit the urination station because I've been pissing like a racehorse today. So I'm going to go visit the urination station. I'm going to go make myself another cup of tea because apparently more tea is the answer to my waterfall of a bladder today. And Mudwall Holler, how you doing? How's it going? In a completely different dynamic. You hold your cigars with your feet? Morty! Exactly. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same. Friends, get up, have a stretch your eyes, look at something in the distance, then look back again. Grab some kind of beverage, hot, cold, or if the time is permitting, flamboyant as fuck. What I'll do, friends, is I will run 3 minutes of adverts. I know we had one like half an hour ago, but if we do it now, then we have got like no adverts for like an hour and a half or something like that. All right. So I'll run the 3 minutes of adverts now, get them out the fucking way, and then we'll come back and we'll start looking into the origins of witches. So friends, don't forget to take your meds. If you haven't done it already, take them now, you cheeky devils. Don't forget that if you're wearing a binder, have a couple of deep breaths, stretch those lungs out, stretch those rib cages out, and never wear a binder longer than is medically recommended, which is approximately 6 hours, to our understanding.
Oh, most kind.
Mudwall Holler, you cheeky devil, you. I will do your mirror vein momentarily. I've just started running the adverts. I'll do it momentarily, all right? I'll do it in a minute, right? I'm back in a second. I'm back in a second. That's upsetting. Evidently my free month of thingy has run out. Bear with, friends. That'll do. That'll do. Enters the hypnotic trance. This is our music that's the music that we've been using recently is all from Peach Pixlate, which has been great. I thoroughly enjoy Peach Pixlate's music. You know? That's a horrible assuming that is the music. The wow. Yeah, it's so that's from a table story show called The Cerebrum Project. That was one of the table story shows, and yeah, it was an interesting one. Very medical mystery is the way I describe it. You know. Spicy book recommendations can go in the not safe for work sections. We also have books and reading in art and performance. Mudwall Holler, thank you very much for coming and using your Prime here, you cheeky devil. Thank you very much for coming back for 6 months as well, you cheeky individual. Half a year. 3 months off a cheeky little Twitch baby. I shall now inscribe your name upon the mirror vein. By having your name upon the mirror vein, it means you get access to my personal Snapchat. Not a bum Snapchat, you cheeky devil. And of course, you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you got to roll over every morning, look in the mirror. Good God, it look rough. But goddamn, do I make rough look good? Oh, sexy. Oh, yes, meow. You know? You normally like peachy stuff, but it was just unpleasant with the headphones. That is fair. I believe that the entire intention of this music is to be unnerving. It's designed to be this is an unnerving part of the show, you know? Got a glass of wine for this stream. Did a post update in the Discord because Scatterbrain has been an interesting few weeks. That's all right. That's not a problem. You do what you need to do, Aristotle. You do what you need to do, friends. Oh, hi, ads. You shouldn't be getting ads. Aristotle, you are a subscriber. You're a tier 3 subscriber. You should not be getting ads. Performance section, you can spot it right away. Yeah. Turns headphones down. Will someone let me know when it has ended? We're all back. The TARD is making funny noise of somebody. Yeah. Excuse you. Oh, the YouTube ad? Yeah. That's fair. Oh, by the way, while we're here, friends, if you are watching the VOD on the YouTube, thank you very much, Stupedia, for the 100 little bits. If you are watching the VOD on the YouTube and you have got this far in, if you're 1 hour and 9 minutes into the actual VOD, thereabouts, because I cut out the breaks and shit, then please consider pressing the subscribe button. Please consider pressing the thumbs up button. Please consider write in a comment. Helps with the algorithms. Yeah, look at me being a real YouTuber. I remember I can do the things. Terrible at the things. I'm fucking awful at that whole self-promotion shit. But I've done the thing now. I've done it now. That's the only time I need to do it in the entire fucking stream. So we're all good. All right. Enters hypnotic trance. Can I come out now? You can come out now, because I am here. Looking glorious and spectacular, you know? How's it going, Quaint Cat? Hello, you beautiful bean. It almost looked like it felt unpleasant. I just find it weird, Pixie Bomb, because this is what it basically comes down to is the fact that I know as a content creator and somebody who has been looking into YouTube and researching YouTube for fucking years now, that when it comes to people watching YouTube videos, and all of my VODs are recorded and they go out onto like a VODs channel on YouTube, VODs and Vanity, exclamation mark YouTube in the chat if you're intrigued. I know that the words. Yeah, I like, my view is if people like it, they're just gonna press like anyway. If people like it, they're gonna press subscribe. If people like it, they're gonna press the thumbs up. If people really like it, they might leave a comment. They're just going to do that anyway, because that's what people should do. But I am also aware of the fact that people need reminding. I've had a couple of people message me being like, hey, could you remind me to like your, like when I'm watching your VODs and stuff on YouTube, could you do a segment in there where you say, will you give it a like if you like it? Because it reminds me that that is an option that I can do to say, yes, I enjoy your VODs. And I find it weird to be like, hey, friends, you can like my stuff if you like, you know? I find that peculiar. But it's true. It is true. It's like, oh, yeah, shit, I forgot. There will be people watching this VOD that are like, oh, yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. I'll give that a like. Yeah, that's cool. Which is really cool, which is awesome. But I find it very weird and peculiar. I find it very weird and peculiar, you know? But anyway, friends. Anyway, music. Calm it down. We are going to have a delve deep into the origins of witches. All right. I've pulled up a couple of resources, and we will look into it as we go along. All right. We'll look into it as we go along. If we go off on random tangents, as always, we will go off on random tangents, because that's what we do. That's what we do. It's grand and dandy. Do you know what I mean? It's grand and dandy. Hey friends, look at me if you want to look at me. Exactly. That's how it feels that way. Like, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. It's just like, hey friends, I do things that you might like, and if you like them, maybe you would mind like pressing the thumbs up to show that you like it. That would be good, right? Yeah. Yes. Questions, maybe. I'm so happy with the Baldur's Gate playthroughs are on the VODs and Vanity. Yes. Yeah. All the Baldur's Gate stuff, all the VODs go onto the VODs and Vanity channel. All of the VODs do now. So they will all be there. They will all be there. Oh, they're saying that we should be finishing Alien Isolation. No, we won't be finishing Baldur's Gate 3. Though I am, as much as I'm very much enjoying the storyline, I am getting frustrated with the bugs that we have found in it. Last week we found so many bugs in Baldur's Gate 3. It was literally just one after another, and it was just like, oh, well, this is fucking frustrating, you know. Run by Boopin. How you doing? Okay, bye. See you later, Moopin. Thanks very much for stopping by and giving everyone else but me a boopin, because obviously you didn't boop me, did you, Moopin? Did you? Authenticat, how you doing? How's it going? I've missed most of the Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough, so I can watch them this weekend. Yeah, they're all there. They're all there. I think all the way up to episode 9 or whatever we're currently on. Bye-bye, boopin. Exactly, right? Exactly. Also, the Alien Isolation ones. And I wanted to finish Alien Isolation last Wednesday, but we're going to end up finishing this Wednesday, because I know there's only a little bit left. So I'm looking forward to that. Though that little bit, given how the rest of the...
you subscribed. Most kind.
An anonymous gifter has come in and gifted a sub to Valen Boop. An anonymous individual has booped me via subscription. Thank you very much, Anonymous. Friends, if you got anonymous emotes, please throw them out now. I should now describe Velenboop on the mirror of Vane. Valenboop, your name is now inscribed upon the mirror of Vane. By having your name upon the mirror of Vane, it means you get access to my personal Snapchat, not a boop Snapchat, you cheeky devil. And of course, you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you gotta roll over every morning, look in the mirror, go, God, I look rough. Well, God damn, do I make rough look good? Ooh, sexy. Ooh, yes, meow. You know? It's the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it. But yes, friends, so letters.
Subscribed.
Let me pick this back up again. Let me pick this straight back up again.
Beep BOOP asterisk.
Beep boop. Beep boop. Lux Lucius Addo, how you doing? How's it going? Lucis, even. How you doing, Lux? How's it going? By having your name upon the mirror vein, you've probably just heard it, but I'll say it again. By having your name upon the mirror vein, it means you get access to my personal Snapchat, not a bum Snapchat, you cheeky devil. And of course, you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you got to roll over every morning, look in the mirror, go, God, I look rough. Well, God damn, do I make rough look good? Ooh, sexy. Ooh, yes, meow. You know? You know? You cheeky devil, you. Whoop, 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 whoop. Friend came over and Hyperfocus kicked in, and we've cleaned all of the things. Now the crash. She's getting you McDonald's. Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, I'm glad you managed to clean all of the things, and I'm glad that you're having snaffly treats that you're going to thoroughly enjoy, and all of the wonderful stuff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, exactly, Lux, exactly. Right, friends. Okay, chums. We are going to go and start deep diving. The origins of witches. Now, it has to be said that many people understand witches. A bit of a TLDR of why we're doing this series before I move on. So the whole thing was in October, we were going to do... October 2023 had 5 weeks in it. And we were going to do a different monster and look at the origins every Monday in those 5 weeks. We were going to start with vampires. It was going to be vampires, werewolves, witches, zombies, and then the Curse of the Mummy. Those were the 5 that we were going to do. However, October 2023, as most of 2023, decided to wear me like a fucking condom. It was a fucking well and truly double-fisted straight into my sphincter. It was less than pleasant. My motherboard died. It was an ordeal. I was 2 and a bit weeks without being able to stream because my computer was completely fucked. Yeah, it was just shit. It was just a really shit time. So we ended up having to... We did vampires, then we missed a couple of weeks because the computer died. Then we did zombies. Then we did Curse of the Mummy. Then I was like, do you know what? This is getting too much. I'm putting too much... like weight on my own shoulders to be able to do this shit. I need to back off. So I decided that I would keep doing this series, but I'll do it once a month. And then in December, that was like throughout November. Then December, we decided to do Krampus because naturally Krampus. And then this is January and we're doing witches. So we're going back to one of the OGs, one of the original ones that we were going to be doing, the witches. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. Now, in regards to witches, obviously, the vast majority of us, ye and me, will think of the old hag of a idea. Do you know what I mean? That when you think of a witch, you think of an old woman who is very haggard, very ugly, the pointy hat, the broomstick, the black cat, all of that shit. Do you know what I mean? All of that shit. However, that portrayal of witches came very much from... Well, a lot of it came very much from The Wizard of Oz, from what I understand. And a lot of it came from various different interpretations of the witch trials. The witch trials. The trials against witchcraft, which lasted for like 100 years. It was fucking wild how long it lasted. But it turns out that is not the origin of the witches at all. And I was wondering whether there was going to be earlier interpretations of witches. And I've pulled up a couple of different things here. I've pulled up the a BBC Culture article. I've pulled up an English Heritage article, and I've pulled up a History Channel article. So we're going to be having a look. Shakespeare's Macbeth, also the Three Hag Witches, most certainly Painted Lady. Yeah, I completely forgot about fucking Shakespeare. Forgot about Shakespeare. But I remembered, like, obviously the witch trials were unbelievably horrific. In fact, there was a trend recently on like TikTok and Instagram, if I remember correctly, where it was literally just like, hey women of the world, let's find out if you would have been burnt at the stake for being a witch. And it literally just goes through stuff that women were that women could have done that would have been witchcraft. Stuff like having back pain. Do you know what I mean? It was wildly unfair. Wildly unfair. Do you know what? We should probably pull up witch trials signs of being a witch. Oh yeah, birthmarks. Got birthmark? You're a witch. Okay, I've pulled up a couple of links there as well, so we'll have a look at those when we get onto the witch trial section. And then I want to finish with a section, the most recent of the witchcraft trials. I mean, like the trial as well, not just any old witchcraft, because I know that people still are practicing witches. Most recent legal trial of witchcraft, which actually was in the early 1900s, if I remember correctly. But we'll find out. We'll find out. It'll be fine. Do you know what I mean? It'll be fine. 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 As a female presenting human, so would I. So would have. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. The vast majority of women, cisgendered or transgendered, would have been accused of witchcraft. In fact, I would say it would be very hard not to be. But yeah, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. Okay. We'll start with the origins of witches in accordance with the history.com, which is the History Channel one. So the origins of witches. Witches were perceived as evil beings by earlier Christians in Europe, inspiring the iconic Halloween figure. Images of witches have appeared in various forms throughout history, from evil wart-nosed women huddling over a cauldron of boiling liquid to hag-faced cackling beings riding through the sky on the broom wearing pointy hats in pop culture. In pop culture, the witch has been portrayed as a benevolent, nose-twitching suburban housewife and an awkward teenager learning to control her powers, and a trio of charmed sisters battling the forces of evil. The real history of witches, however, is dark, and often for the witches, very deadly. And by witches, we mean women. let's just be honest about this. We just mean women. Can't say what witches I like because it's spoiler for a game that Valen played. Huh? Okay. Inquisition, witch trials, witch hunt. Yes. Yeah. We'll be definitely talking about this. The Salem witch trials are the most famous here in the US. It's been written into a lot of media, such as The Crucible, which is also a commentary about McCarthyism. The Salem witch trials, I wasn't going to try and touch too deeply on the witch trials because I know that in its entirety, both the European witch trials with the Inquisition and was it King James? I think it was King James, who basically was like, all women are witches, kill them all. And the Inquisition basically killing hundreds, if not thousands, probably thousands of people. I think it was like a ridiculous amount, but we'll find out. How's it going, Bagel Drew? How you doing? How's it going? But I do know about the Salem witch trials through stuff like popular culture. I know that a lot of it came down to exactly the same stuff that happened in the UK, in Europe, which was women standing up for themselves wasn't okay with men. If we're being honest about this, but we'll look into it. All right. Early witches, the origins of witches. So early witches were people who practiced witchcraft. Very specifically, people who practiced witchcraft using magic spells and calling upon spirits for help or to bring about change. Most witches were thought to be pagans doing the devil's work. Many, however, were simply natural healers or so-called wise women. I know that Wicca, the word Wicca means wise one. So if you are a practicing Wiccan, then you are a Wicca, like you are a wise one, a Wicca. Whose choice of profession is misunderstood. It is unclear exactly when witches came on the historical scene, but one of the earliest records of a witch is in the Bible in book of 1 Samuel, thought to be written between 931 BC and 721 BC. It tells of the story of when King Saul sought the witch of Endor. Hold on. The Witch of Endor? I didn't realize we were talking about Star Wars. Sought the Witch of Endor to summon the dead prophet Samuel's spirit to help him defeat the Philistine army. The witch roused Samuel, who then prophesied the death of Saul and his sons. The next day, according to the Bible, Saul's sons died in battle and Saul committed suicide. Other Old Testament verses condemn witches, such as the often cited Exodus 22:18, which says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." It's a classic. It's a classic. Additional biblical passages caution against divination, chanting, or using witches to contact the dead. I think a lot of that will have been around the control of not wanting people to be referring to other theological sources. You are part of our religion. Don't go to other religions. Don't do that. That's not okay. You're not allowed to. Why is it? Don't worship false idols. Don't do that. Let's have a look. So that's according to history.com, one of the earliest sightings. So it is unclear when witches as a whole came into being. And we're not going to move directly onto the witch trials yet, because I know that we're going to have to talk about it. So we're not going to move directly onto it yet. But one of the earliest recordings was somewhere between 1931, according to history.com, 1931 BC and 721 BC. So just short of 1,000 years before baby Jeezy Crazy, you know? Don't be a woman who owns a lot of land and have money back in those days. Instant witch. Oh, facts. Absolute facts. Especially in the Salem witch trials, if I remember correctly. Men could also be accused of witchcraft, but it was less common. Men were accused of witchcraft. You were accused of being a warlock, is what it was. So a lot of it, if I remember correctly, and we will get onto it, I'm sure it'll pop up in this conversation. If I remember correctly, the whole thing about the difference between, well, one of the main differences when it came to like the witch trials between witches and warlocks was the fact that warlocks made deals with devils for power. That was their thing. Warlocks made deals because they were men. Men make deals. They're dignified. They shake hands. They make a deal for power. You give me power, I'll give you my soul. And that will make me a warlock, and you will be my devil familiar. Whereas witches, because, you know, women couldn't possibly just make deals with people. Oh, God, no. They had to go about shagging. They went off a rutting. The whole thing of like the birthmark, the devil's mark, was about witches. That was the mark that they got from having slept with a devil, which was ridiculous, absolutely fucking preposterous. But that was their whole thing, was warlocks made deals with devils for their souls. Women, witches, obviously just shagged everybody, just shagged devils, and that was their thing. Fucking done and dusted, you know. To be fair, if you jilted, it was weird because it literally got down to a stage of if you jilted a man in power, he'd accuse you of witchcraft. How dare you bewitch me? How dare you? How dare you bewitch me and then rebuke me like that? Oh, you must be a witch. You know, it's fucking bullshit like that. Spanish Inquisition wasn't about witchcraft. It was about being Jewish or Muslim. I thought there was some crossover there, but we'll find out. We're discussing our favorite witch depictions. That's all. All right, cool. In the UK, there were quite a few hunts and trials. I recall one in particular. It was a man of the cloth, and he was condemned as he had a mole that wouldn't bleed. Yeah, because, you know, moles aren't just bits of skin. But anyway, you know, they toast burn witches. Oh, yeah. So there was a lot of the trials when it came to witch. I was going to say, how you doing? A lot of the trials were just completely unfair. It was literally a case of, like, this is a trial to prove your innocence, and if you're innocent, you'll die, and if you are not innocent, like the dunkings, for example, it's like dunk a woman in the water with her hands and legs bound, usually with some description of weight on her as well. In fact, I think they actively weighed her down if they wanted her to be innocent, because if she sank, then she was a witch. No, if she sank, then she was innocent and she died. And that's okay. It's okay that she was innocent and she died because her soul was then with God. You know? She died an innocent woman, and that's okay because her soul was then with God. But if she floated, then obviously it was the devil that was holding her above the water to continue their witchcraft, and therefore she was fished out and burned at the stake. Shit like that. It's fucked. Really fucked, you know? Watch, that's where George Lucas got the name from. Possibly, Eric's telling me. The Witches of Endor. You know? It was true. Was that the true translation or the Christian Church's translation later on the history of the Bible? Well, according to the BBC culture thing as well, it does say that witches of long elaborate history, their forerunners appear in the Bible. The story of King Saul consulting with the so-called Witch of Endor. They also crop up in classical era in the form of winged harpies and screech owl-like trixies, frightening flying creatures that fed upon the flesh of babies. Because, of course, the shape-shifting was also a massive part of it. But a lot of them just tended to be wise women of different religions. So from what I can see, it does say, like, especially when it comes to the Old Testament, which, let's be honest about this, the Old Testament is based on the Jewish Torah. The Old Testament and the Jewish Torah are nearly the same book. And I say nearly because obviously there are variations in order to manipulate power, but they're nearly the same book. And it tended to be wise people, wise women of different cultures, different religions were described as witches, you know? Before King James revision, it was prophets, not witches. That's interesting. And King James was the one that brought about it all, if I remember correctly. He was the one that was absolutely vindictive against all of the witches and stuff like that. Circe, the ancient, the enchantress from Greek mythology, was a sort of witch, able to transform her enemies into swines. So was her niece Medea. The ancient world then was responsible for establishing a number of tropes that later centuries would come to associate with witches. Yet it wasn't until early Renaissance that our modern perception of the witch was truly formed. And one man of the period arguably did more to define the way that we still imagine witches today, the German painter and printer Albrecht Dürer. We'll get onto him in a moment because I wanted to jump over to the English heritage because they actually said something really, really interesting. So, the history of witchcraft is complex and often raises more questions than it answers. Where did witches come from? Did they always arrive on broomsticks? And then they do some other bits and pieces. Okay, so most people think that witches are a Christian invention. Okay, so this is English heritage. They're going for a slightly different angle, probably slightly more what we just read from the BBC thing about the ancient cultures, the ancient Greeks and what have you. Because there was definitely people within the ancient Greek mythos who had the power to change people as witches are described in today. Do you know what I mean? So most people think the witch is a Christian invention, but the idea of the witch who flies in the night and draws power from dark cosmic forces or to work on her ill will on others predates Christianity probably by many centuries. In Homer's Odyssey at 800 BC, Circe, who turns men into animals, is described as a witch, and Plutarch refers to witchcraft in his treatise on superstition in AD 100. Illicit magic features heavily in Roman law statutes, some of which are passed down to the Christian world. However, many of these early laws were really laws against sorcery, which, unlike witchcraft, can be beneficial and which requires special skills, tools, and words. Archaeologists found hundreds of ancient Greek curse tablets, which the Greeks called kataris, or otherwise translated as the curses that bind tight. And they appear to have invented them, with a great number focused on sporting competitions or legal contests. The inscribed tablets were left in graves, wells, or fountains where the dead could better work their magic. So a lot of the ancient traditions or the understanding of witchcraft as a whole seem to revolve around playing with gods of the underworld and the dead, the spirits of the dead, to help them out. Let me catch up with chat a wee bit. The Hebrew word, I don't remember the exact word, refers to a specific type of magic practitioner, as there were different types of magic users in those days. Only a few were bad. What is meant exactly is lost in time. Okay, that's interesting. You're looking sharp today? I have missed about the first hour of stream. How do we define witches? The term rather sketchy depending on those in the culture. Well, that's what we're basically figuring out, Miss Aisha, because realistically speaking, the term that what the origins of witches are is where we get the terminology of witchcraft. And whether that is purely a Christian thing is what we are discovering at the moment. So the earliest description of a witch, the earliest person that has actually been called a witch that we can see, was the Witch of Endor, which is an Old Testament story about King Saul. However, as was pointed out earlier, we don't know whether that was the original. Do you know what? Let's do a Google. What was the original title for the Witch of Endor? Okay, so the Witch of Endor, this is according to Wikipedia, so obviously be careful with it because Wikipedia is not always the most reliable. Woman who, according to the Hebrew Bible, was consulted by Saul, summoned the spirit of the prophet Samuel. Saul wished to receive advice on defeating the Philistines in battle, blah, 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 blah. I think one of the reasons why she will have been called a witch is because she's also referred to as the sorceress of Endor, which is really interesting because when we've just been looking at the whole ancient Greeks thing, they had, and very specifically the Romans had laws against sorcery. So even before Christianity took over the Roman Empire, the Romans had laws against sorcery, which could be used for good or evil, whereas witchcraft...
Ooh, you little stalker.
Thank you very much for the follow, you beautiful bean. Welcome on in. Don't like to call people out just in case they're lurking, but you're very welcome on it. We're deep diving witches at the moment. We're deep diving witches. But yeah, it's fascinating that, like, she's also described as the sorceress of Endor because the ancient Romans had laws against sorcery. The woman of the story is called in biblical Hebrew. I can't read Hebrew, so that Eset ba Hlad ob be indoor, which is my butchering translation of how they have phonetically spelled the Hebrew there. So if for anybody that is actually Jewish, I genuinely do apologize. So a woman, so in the original Hebrew, she is described as the woman possessor of an ob or ob at Endor. The word ob has been suggested by Harry Hofner, referred to a ritual pit for summoning the dead from the netherworld. Oh, shit. Based on parallels of other Near Eastern and Mediterranean cultures, the word has cognates in other regional languages. Sumerian, Akkadian, Hittite. The medium or witch of Endor ritual parallels the Babylonian and Hittite magical texts as well as the Odyssey. So she was not necessarily a prophet, but a seer is probably the best way of putting it. The possessor of an orb. So she possessed the means to connect to the dead. From what I can see here is looking like some description of pit. Other suggestions. Oh, okay. So it goes on to say other suggestions for a definition of orb include a familiar spirit, a talisman, or a wineskin in reference to ventriloquism. So yeah, she was a seer. She basically was a scryer, a woman that scried in ancient times. And it was in modern times that changes. Let's find out when it was actually changed over. So the prophet Samuel dies, he's buried in Ramah, blah 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 blah. Saul searches for a witch anonymously and is told one is living in the village of Endor. Saul disguises himself and crosses through, so he's searching for a wise person, a mystic. Disguises himself, crosses the lines and visits. Okay, cool. Interpretations, that's what we're all about. Judaism. In the Septuagint, the woman is described as a ventriloquist, possibly reflecting the consistent view of the Alexandrian translator that demons do not exist. On the other hand, the Hebrew book of Sirach, composed in the same period, represents that as a fact that Samuel prophesied this to Saul after his death. Josephus, writing in the 1st century AD, also appears to find the story completely credible. Saul also seemed to have heard a disembodied voice. So it's basically necromancy. Yeah, so what yeah, it sounds like necromancy. Yeah, kind of. But it was just, you've also got to remember that in these ancient times, the veil between the living and the dead was not as structured. It wasn't like a definitive, this is the dead, this is the living. The dead frequently came back to life, or the spirits of the dead were blamed for a lot of things. So they were there was a lot of situations where people were actively like speaking to the dead, or the dead spirits were praised for the heroes in battle. They were condemned for crops failing. It's that kind of shit, you know? Like there was a very blurry line between the living and the dead in the ancient times, or their beliefs of the living and the dead in the ancient times. Red and the Wolf Designs, how you doing? I think the use of witch in the Bible is probably depends on the translation that's been made. I would imagine it's probably King James. So Christianity, the church fathers, some modern Christians, King James in his followers. Okay, yeah. So, the church fathers and some modern Christian writers have debated the theological issues raised by this text, which would appear at first sight to affirm that it is possible, though forbidden, for humans to summon the spirits of the dead by magic. King James, in his philosophical treatise Demonology in 1597, rejected the theory that the witch was performing an act of ventriloquism, but also denied that she had truly summoned the spirit of Samuel. He wrote that the devil is permitted at times to take on the likeness of the saints, citing 2 Corinthians 14:14, which says that Satan can transform himself into an angel of light. James describes the witch of Endor as Saul's Pythonese, likening her to the ancient Greek oracle Pythia. He asserts the reality of witchcraft, arguing that if such things were not possible, they would not be prohibited in Scripture. So they're saying that the fact that it's banned means that it's obviously true. The ancient world banned it, which means it's obviously true. You know? So yeah, it certainly seems like it's the King James Bible, the King James interpretation of the Bible, that was the first iteration of calling that person a witch, whereas she was previously described as the woman with the magical device. The woman, like saying the woman with the crystal ball. Do you know what I mean? Buried in ramen. Oh, tasty. How delightful. The German Wikipedia text calls her the necromancer, or the witch of Endor. In the German translation of the Bible, the word for witch, Hexe, is not used. She is the woman who can tell the future, the woman with the ghost of a dead person. Yeah, is the movement of the connection to the dead that really is the hammer in there, you know? I'm just having a quick look at King James. Yeah. Ooh, interesting. Turns out King James, despite being adamantly against witchcraft, had a moment of actual regret. Realizing that all the people that he had tortured and put to death might not actually have been witches. James became concerned with the threat posed by witches and wrote in Demonology in 1597, a tract inspired by his personal involvement that opposed the practice of witchcraft that provided background material for Shakespeare's Macbeth. James personally supervised the torture of women accused of being witches. After 1599, his views became more skeptical. In a later letter written in England to his son Henry, James congratulates the prince on the discovery of yon little counterfeit wench. I pray God may be my heir of such discoveries. Most miracles nowadays. Oh no, even more skeptical. So he just hated everybody. Hated women. His hatred of women was quite legendary. Was it this King James that translated the Bible? I think it might have been. We'll find out. Hold on. King James Bible. Yon counterfeit wench. What I would imagine is basically his son was sleeping with one of the maids and his dad didn't like it. And his son went, oh, well, she was obviously a witch. And King James went, oh, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense that my son is not sleeping with the staff. She was obviously a witch. Yeah, so it was this King James, the exact King James that brought around... I wanted to just double check my information. It was the exact same King James that brought around the witch trials that then later in his life... So it was the 1590s... 1611, cool. The witch trials. Okay, so he published his book. So the witch trials were acting from 1550 onwards, pretty much. And then he published his... He was so afraid of the threat posed by witches that he published a book called Demonology and ramped it up in the United Kingdom. And then about 10 years after he published Demonology, he published the King James Bible. So it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense that he would interpret anything from the Old Testament as, like, this was witchcraft. It was the witch of Endor, not the sorceress, not the seer, not the diviner. It was the witch. She was a witch because that was how he saw it. He saw anybody that could possibly do anything beyond what he's deemed reasonable. That must be a witch. Must be a witch. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Let me catch up a wee bit then. King James I of England, who translated the Bible. Yeah. Example, the Chinese had their own much before baby Jesus without the influence of Christians. By the late Zhou dynasty, the 4th centuries, the 4th to the 3rd centuries BCE, we referred to the most female shamans as sorceresses, while male sorcerers were named as Ji. Male shaman sorcerers first arrested in Goyu, or the discourse of the states, 4th century BC. Other sex differentiated shamans included the well, that's the thing though, Masasha. It's a really interesting one. The reason why I'm digging it, I'm being very careful about how we dig into it, because God Broccoli, how you doing? I'm being very careful about how we dig into it, because realistically speaking, witches, as we understand it, because I mean, fucking let's look at the definition. Witch definition. Witch, a person thought to have magical powers, especially evil ones, popularly depicted as a woman wearing black cloak and a pointed hat flying on a broomstick, or somebody who casts evil spells. That as a terminology could include so many cultures. Somebody who uses power, magic. You've got the entirety of the voodoo religion, and very specifically the Bakor, and I can't remember. There was another variation that is the female version of Bakor, who are the people that basically we dug deep into the zombie camp. When we were doing the zombie origins, we looked at all of the old voodoo stuff, and it was the Bakor and I can't remember the other name for them, that were basically, they were the ones that did black magic. They called upon the dark forces for evil purposes. By that, they are witches. You know, that's probably where the whole terminology of witch doctor came from. Because they were using spells, but also healing people. Witch doctor, that kind of makes sense from like an amalgamation of English language in order to describe what was happening in those areas. And then you will have, like you say, in the Zhao dynasty, you'll have all of these people that had their own versions of it, and I think that's where one of the major interesting things, like it says here in the BBC Culture article on it. Was it the BBC Culture article on it? No. Was it the... Huh. I literally just had it. Where the fuck is it? Oh, it was the English Heritage one. Many of the earlier laws were really laws against sorcery, which, unlike witchcraft, can be beneficial. So this is the differentiation between good magic and bad magic, is effectively what it is. It's like your white magic and your black magic from voodoo, whereas you have your sorcery, which is good magic, and you have your witchcraft, which is bad magic. So it's like evil magic is witchcraft. Sorcery, perfectly fine. But there are laws around sorcery, whereas witchcraft is always evil. You know what I mean? The hoodoo? No, so we did deep dive into the hoodoo on the hoodoo or voodoo, depending on which variation of it. The hoodoo, for those people, little TLDR, as I understand it, the hoodoo is the South African religious practice, and the voodoo is the American religious practice. But then you'd have sorceresses, but there was none of that. Well, you did have sorceresses. That was the thing. Like we were talking about the OG, the earliest actual terminology describing someone specifically as a witch was the Old Testament, the King James's interpretation of the Old Testament, which was the Witch of Endor, who advised King Saul. However, the original Hebrew of that described her as the woman with insert magical artifact, whether it be wineskin, crystal ball, pit that spoke to the dead. There's still, from what I can see, very mixed interpretation of that. But she was the earliest iteration of scripture describing somebody as a witch was that. Whereas other texts prior to the King James, from what I can see prior to the King James's Bible, describe her as the sorceress of Endor. So a person that did good magic. By the time King James came around, though, in the 1500s, late 1500s, is you basically, there was no such thing as good magic. It was all evil magic. Because, and like I said, so there was some descriptors there of the Witch of Endor where she was described as the ventriloquist. The idea that it was all a hoax. The idea it was all a trick. That King Saul went and either she used her voice in order to, well, to be described as a ventriloquist, somebody who masquerades their voice as coming from somewhere else, right? So, to use your voice into a pit, perhaps. To have it echo back in a slightly different way. To hear that as the mournful souls of the past. Oh, they're saying you're gonna die. You know? So, she was, in some ancient texts at least, described as a fraudster. She was described as somebody who tricked King Saul into, she probably, well, theoretically, she knew that King Saul's sons were going to be killed in battle because there was plans afoot or what have you. And then she was like, you're going to die as well, because he'll be so mortified of that he'll kill himself. And that's what happened. That is, well, according to the text, that is exactly what happened, you know? Love it so much. How's it going, Rabbit? How you doing? Start singing on. Got a friend from the other side, from Princess of the Frog. I have not seen it, but I think I've heard that song. Parallel with The Witches. That didn't last, did it? No. No. In early modern Scotland, magic practitioners were called cunning folk in the term of legal and religious legitimacy. It was only considered evil if they had made a pact with the devil. Otherwise, it was a religious and legal grey zone. Well, that's the thing, God Broccoli, because by King James's time, any magic was in league with the devil. Anybody that practiced, so anybody that practiced medicine outside of the church, devil worshipper. Anybody that gave advice or ointments, devil worshipper. Anybody who gathered herbs from the local forest, devil worshipper. Anybody who had a birthmark, devil worshipper. Which is the wild element of it. It's literally, and this is what they were saying about King James. So King James, in his philosophical treatise, Demonology, in 1597, rejected the theory that the Witch of Endor, so the sorceress, the woman who spoke to the dead to give King Saul his prediction, rejected the theory that the witch was performing an act of ventriloquism. So he rejected the idea that she was a trickster, that she was a fraudster. But he also denied that she truly summoned the spirit of Samuel. So he denied the fact that she was speaking to the dead. So it was like, no, she couldn't have spoken to the spirit of Samuel, the saint saint, was he a saint? Prophet, maybe? Whatever. He wrote that he quoted 2 Corinthians 11:14, which says Satan can transform himself into an angel of light. So he was like, the only way that this makes sense is if she was speaking to a devil. So he gave her the title of witch. He was like, no, she couldn't have spoken to a spirit that had gone on to God, because God keeps all the spirits to himself. She could not have been lying, because I don't have evidence, but I don't give a shit because I'm the king. And therefore, she must have been speaking to a devil. She must have been, you know? Am I the only one with magic dance from a labyrinth way in my head? I don't have that at the moment. Just looked at the German term hex, a close equivalent to the English witch. Came into use in medieval times, hasn't really been used before. It was the same root as the English word hag. Yes, and also it's the root of where we get the word hexes from, if I remember correctly. Ooh, cheeky. Move my little mirror out of the way. It's also where we get the word hexes from. How's it going, Zero the Alien? How you doing? Church be jealous big time? Yes. Yeah. Well, the whole thing about the church was the Old Testament, fucking 10 Commandments. Worship no other God but me. Thou shalt not worship a false idol. The classic shit. Do you know what's really interesting is when you look into some of the older religions, a lot of them just saw religious practices as, those are your gods, these are our gods. Our gods are better than your gods. Our gods help us with our battles. Our gods help us with our crops. Our gods help us with this shit. Your gods aren't going to do that because fuck you. Do you know what I mean? People believed there was different gods of different peoples, and that was okay. You just believed your own gods. You didn't believe in the gods of other people. And then you get monotheistic, very specifically monotheistic gods who come round, like Judaism, Muslim, Islam, Christianity, very, very keenly. I mean, Judaism and Islam and Christianity all come from the same God. They all worship the same deity. They all have the same origin story. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got that whole dynamic of you aren't allowed to worship other gods. You aren't allowed to accept other deities existing. You have to only accept me, because I am the one true God. Which is why Moses got so angry when he came down from Mount Sinai and saw all of his people worshipping the golden bull, golden calf god, or whatever the fuck it was called, you know? The church do be jealous big time. That is a recurring theme throughout the entirety of history. So I've read about the 1700s seems different. Like, certain level of white magic was tolerated as long as you weren't too flamboyant about it. But, like, witchcraft was a crime and you were accused of that nasty. Well, I think what you'll probably find there, God Broccoli, well, first of all, the witch trial, the main witch trials in Europe, at least, were the 1500s. So they were 1550 onwards, if I remember correctly. And they lasted till about the late 1600s, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure when the Salem witch trials were. I feel like they were a little bit later. I'll find out in a minute. But you will probably find that basically what happened was, at least in Europe, was there was all these witch trials because they really wanted to persecute women effectively. And this is me surmising based on what I've read about witches before, but I will get into it in a minute. Because there would, like I said, there's literally been a trend on social media of, hey, women, would you have been burned at the stake for being a witch? Here are all the things you could be burned. In fact, you know what? Let's look at it. Let's look at the list. Okay, so they did 7 tests. These are the ways they tested whether you were a witch or not. All right. Do we got signs you were a witch? Okay, so these are signs that you are a witch, okay? You're a woman. Are you a woman of any kind? If so, you're probably one of the devil's many hell brides. Since medieval period, the aspect of the female, this is in quotations, the aspect of the female has been associated with the witch. For thousands of years, people believed women to be more susceptible to sins than men, of course. And sinning is a clear indication of devil worship. In Salem, of the 19 people hanged for witchcraft, 5 were men and 14 were women. Historically, the numbers dramatically favor accused women over men. Yeah, they were vast majority of the men. If you cannot support yourself financially, the poor, homeless, and those forced to rely on the community for support were often among the vulnerable and accused of witchcraft. Sarah Good, hanged in 1692, was extremely disliked and disrupted by neighbors because she wandered from house to house begging for food. Okay, so this list is based on the Salem witch trials. Yeah, okay. So if you have any of these traits, you wouldn't have survived the Salem witch trials. So this is slightly later in history. This is the late 1600s. You are rich. So the list is, you're a woman. You cannot support yourself financially. You are rich or financially independent. If you're a grown woman living without any additional support, you probably were a witch. You have 1 or more women friends, because of course, if you had friends, you were a witch. You were obviously in some kind of coven. You had an argument with 1 or more of your women friends. Infamous witch finder like Matthew Hopkins and John Cern inspired such terror in the community, and it didn't take long for women to accuse other women of witchcraft as ways of deflecting from their own indictment. Women were more likely than men to be convicted of this complicity with the devil, and given such convictions about themselves, they could be more easily imagine that other women were equally damned. So if you accused a woman of being a witch, then you were probably a witch yourself. Because heaven forfend you try and save yourself. You've had an argument or a disagreement with somebody. An important thing to remember is that that anyone could accuse anyone. And if they did, if you found yourself accused of practicing witchcraft of any kind by any kind of person, you might as well have been seen flying naked over the moon on a broomstick made out of cursed lovers' ears. Yeah. You are very old. Older women, because they're, of course, usually wiser, know a lot of things. Or you were too young. The youngest witch to be... the youngest witch to be killed in the Salem witch trials was 4 years old. Oh no, she wasn't killed. Oh shit. She was 4 years old when she confessed to being a witch. Her mother, this was Dorothy Good, was only 4 years old when she confessed to being a witch. Her mother, Sarah, was hanged in 1692. Dorothy was imprisoned for 9 months for being a witch of 4 years old before she was released. The experience had a permanent effect on her mental health. No shit. You're a healer. And that's a pretty self-explanatory one. People don't like people that are smart. You were married with too few or no children. The devil cursed your unholy womb with infertility. Plus, if your neighbors and their 6 children are suffering in any way, they almost certainly believe the jealous crone living next to them has hexed their home. So if you were a woman, Noval, the youngest child to be in prison. Yeah. Youngest child to be in prison. If your neighbors have trouble conceiving, then obviously you were a witch. If you exhibited stubborn, strange, or forward behavior, you were a witch. You have a mole, a birthmark, or a third nipple. All very. That was back to the 1500s there. If butter or milk spoiled in your fridge, so if you had spoiled dairy on your premises, you're obviously a witch. If you had sex out of wedlock, then you were a witch, which was hilarious. And I say hilarious in the most harrowing form, because many people were accused of witchcraft because they refused to have sex out of wedlock. You've attempted to predict the identity of your future husband, or you have broken virtually any rule in the Bible and thus entered a pact into the devil. So any of the massively contradictory rules in the Bible, and they are massively contradictory, then you obviously are a witch. Can you dance? Yes. Yes, I can. Do it again. How about you? The Salem Witch Trials was 1692 to 1963. 1963? You mean 1693? You could be rich, but only if you had a rich husband. Rich on your own as a woman, impossible. Yeah. You couldn't be either poor, but you couldn't be rich either. Yeah. So basically, if you were dependent on a man, if you were dependent on your husband, then you were okay. Harrowing is exactly what it is. Yeah. Basically, if you're a woman, you were a witch. Yeah, effectively, yeah. Yeah, well done. How you doing? How's it going? I guess I'm a witch is a fair cop. Yeah. Well, if you were if you were an independent woman, yes, you're a witch. If you are a man, then you need to make sure that you're in 100% sniffing the sweet sphincter of God in order to prove that you're not a witch, you know? Predicting the identity of a future husband was the reason my boyfriend's relatives were killed. What? Excuse me? Can we add disabilities to that list? Yes. I mean, that's just one of the lists that have come up for sure. It's all right. It's okay. One thing that's really interesting is the connection between witchcraft accusations and women attempting to use some form of reproductive control. Yeah. Because it was just basically, are you a woman? Are you doing anything that men don't do? Then you're a witch. Or are you doing anything that you should be relying on a man for? Then you're a witch. And that was the Salem Witch Trials. That is not... let's have a look. Signs of being a witch, 1500s. Okay. How to spot a witch, the believers' methods from the 15th to the 18th century. Do they look like a witch? Do they look like one? They must be one. Devil's marks, pricks and scratches. The faintest freckles were pricked with needles or blades. If it didn't bleed or hurt, then the subject was definitely a witch. Bible weighing. The suspect was weighed against a heavy Bible or a stack of them. If she weighed less, then she was guilty. Some only got off if the scales matched exactly. So if she was exactly the same weight of the amount of Bibles that they put on the scales. Prayer test. Sorcerers were believed incapable of speaking scripture. So suspects had to recite passages, usually the Lord's Prayer, without a single error. Illiteracy or nerves were no defense. In the 1712, Jane Wenham was hanged after missing out of leaders not into temptation. That was the Salem witch trials again. Bleeding the corpse. If you suspected a witch had murdered someone, you made her place her hands on the dead body. If she was guilty, it would start to bleed. Catching the imp. Catching a hag with her familiars. Imps in animal forms was cast iron proof. So if a woman was anywhere near an animal, then you caught it. Make a witch's cake. Take the victim's urine, mix it with rye, meal, and ash, and make a little cake. Then feed it to a dog, or better still, one of the accused's familiars. This was meant to make the beast fall into a trance and reveal the name of the guilty party. It should also make the witch cry out in agony. You fed me a piss cake. I'd be crying about that. I'd be crying about that. Thin shaming? I think that was the least of people's worries at this fucking time. Jesus. Talking to yourself was a sign of being a witch. And spectral evidence. At Salem, someone just had to claim they saw you flying on a boomstick or cavorting with the devil in the woods, and that was enough. Touch tests. If a possessed person fell into spells or fits, the suspect was fetched and asked to lay a hand on them. No reaction meant they were innocent, but if the victim came round, that was enough proof of witchcraft. So if somebody had epilepsy, for example, and had a fit, had some description of seizure, you would call the person you're accusing of witchcraft. If the person continued having the seizure, then that person was innocent. If the seizure died away within the presence of the witch, then they were obviously the witch, and therefore should be hanged. Incantation. The accused is forced to verbally order the devil to let the possessed victim come out of their trance. Other people would also utter words as control and judges, and gauge whether their statements had any effect on the victim. So just gauge themselves. Well, shit. That was one way of doing it. Let's have a look at the various different tests they did. So the swimming test. As part of the infamous swimming test, accused witches were dragged to nearest body of water, stripped to their undergarments, bound, and then tossed to see if they would sink or float. Since witches were believed to have spurned the sacrament of baptism, it was thought that the water would reject their bodies and prevent them from submerging. According to this logic, an innocent person would sink like a stone, but a witch would simply bob on the surface. Victim typically had a rope tied around their waist, so they could be pulled from the water if they sank. But it wasn't unusual for accidental drowning deaths to occur. So the intention wasn't for them to... The intention wasn't to kill them. It was just to find out if they were a witch. It just happened to be that they died a lot as well, you know? Witch swimming derived from the trial by water, an ancient practice where suspected criminals and sorcerers were thrown into rush rivers to allow the higher powers to decide their fate. This custom was banned in many European countries in the Middle Ages, only to re-emerge in the 17th century as witch experiment, and persisted in some locales well into the 18th century. In 1710, swimming test was used as evidence against a Hungarian woman named Dorka Boda, who was later beaten and burned at the stake as a witch. Good lord. The prayer test, so being able to speak the scripture without any mistakes. Touch test we talked about. Touch test worked on the idea that victims of sorcery would have a special reaction to physical contact with their evildoers in cases where possessed persons fell into spells off it. Oh, that is really ridiculous as well, because all you had to do was fake a fit. If you faked a seizure, brought the witch around, then just went, oh, I'm fine now. You know, how many is a stack? Exactly, Mammoth. No, I think that depends on how guilty they wanted the witch to be. You know, which is cake, which is mark, pricking and scratching, incantations. Yeah, so those were the ones that we looked at. Which basically brings us all round to the Malleus Maleficarum, which was like the OG witches trial document, if I remember correctly. Cool. But let me catch up with Stranger. Predicting the identity of the future. Yeah. One thing that is really interesting is the connection between the witchcraft accusations and women attempting to use some form of birth control. Yeah. Are you a woman? Yes. You are my property then. You have no rights, basically. Yeah, they didn't. Women didn't. It was not until relatively recently, like literally within the past century, just over the past century, that the vast majority of women had any rights other than property. It's disgusting. It's absolute. When that whole right to vote thing, the whole burning your bras, oh fuck, what's the word? The word I'm looking for. Women's suffragette. Yeah, the suffrage movement. Thank you very much. Millen and Mama Snow there. The suffrage movement. Yeah, that whole thing was basically saying, hey, we don't want to be property. We don't want to be property. And it's unnerving that it took that long for it to happen, but yeah, it's pretty fucking disgusting. Right, where was I? Yeah, the anxiety, the anxiety. Oh, 100%. If anyone had an extra nipple basically in their armpit, well, it was any mark, to be honest with you, Calandra. Any mark that was deemed unnatural, which meant anything other than moles and freckles. And the moles and freckles themselves would be stabbed and poked and prodded to see if they bled. And if they bled, then you're fine. If it didn't bleed, you're a witch, you know, because it's obviously a fake mole. Female relative with Tourette's, good thing she is here now, not then. Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Part of history like this that made me wonder how humanity even survives to the present day. Control. Very, very strict control and people fearing for a lot of things. Kramer and Sprenger have a lot to answer for. There are so many people. Oh shit, it was even earlier than I thought. I thought it was the mid-1500s. So witch hysteria really took hold in Europe during the mid-1400s when many accused witches confessed. When many accused witches confessed, often under torture, to a variety of wicked behaviors. Within a century, witch hunts were common, and most of the accused were executed by burning at the stake or hanging. Single women, widows, and other women on the margins of society were especially targeted. Between the years 1500 and 1660, up to 80,000 suspected women were put to death in Europe. 80,000. How's it going, DM Bear? How you doing? Quick question, if I may. Are you going to be at TwitchCon 24 Rotterdam? I am planning on being. Yes. I am planning on being. It really depends on finances. It really depends on cash monies. I will probably do some kind of donation goal at some stage to help me with those finances, but I would like to be. Yes, I would like to be. It is already booked in the diary, but yes, that is the plan. That is the plan. So yeah, 80,000 suspected witches were put to death in Europe. Around 80% of them were women, thought to be in cahoots with the devil and filled with lust. Germany had the highest witchcraft execution rate, while Ireland had the lowest. Which that doesn't, considering how religious Ireland is at the moment, that doesn't actually surprise me, because the Irish people have always had a respect for, or the majority of the Irish people have always had a respect for spirits. And if somebody knows how to deal with those spirits, you kind of leave them alone. Because the spirits of the Celtic nations were not to be fucked with. Do you know what I mean? They were not to be fucked with, because they would steal your babies. They would 100% steal your babies, because they could. So that doesn't surprise me as much as I was expecting it to. The publication of Malleus Maleficarum, written by two well-respected German Dominicans in 1486, likely spurred on the witch mania to go the 1400s equivalent of viral. It says, the book, usually translated as The Hammer of Witches, was essentially a guide on how to identify, hunt, and interrogate witches. Malleus Maleficarum labeled witchcraft as heresy and quickly became the authority for Protestants and Catholics to try and flush out witches living among them. For more than 100 years, the book sold more copies of any other book in Europe except the Bible. The Bible was the only thing that sold more copies. Obviously there, might not have told you I changed my name. Oh, how's it going, Papa Zillion? How you doing? Oh, DM Berry. I did not know. I did not know, but we'll go on in. Going back to the pre-Christian stuff, and women had a lot of power. Women did have a lot of power, yeah, because they were. It's pretty much. I am sure that there will be many feminist historians that can explain what happened throughout history in regards to women much better. There was large entire cultures of people, entire societies of people that just viewed women as property. That's all they were. Then that's where you get stuff like dowries and stuff from, where you literally, it's like you are trading and bartering your daughters. The idea of giving your children over to it happened in the Bible as well, massively in the Bible with fucking hell. Fuck, what's his name? Whose wife turned into a pillar of salt? Lot. Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt. Lot from the Bible, who was brother to somebody or other, some other religious person in the Bible. He was living in Sodom or Gomorrah, one of the two, and the angels came. It was Sodom, because it's where you get sodomy from. The angels came to Lot and his family and said, and they said, hey, you need to get out of this city, because God is going to be absolutely raising the entire thing. It's going to flatten the entire city because of how much sin there is here. Lesson learned, don't look back. Yeah. And the citizens knocked on Lot's door. Lot from the Bible, you know the guy. Exactly, Nibirin, exactly. So the citizens of Sodom knocked on the door and went, hey, give us your guests. We want to shag them. We want to give them a real good seeing to. And Lot responded with, take my daughters. Leave my guests alone. Take my daughters. They will fulfill whatever fucking need you have, because my guests are not to be touched. Because they were property. It's fucking horrible. It's fucking horrible. But that's the way they were fucking seen. Like it's entire cultures of people have viewed women as property for fuck knows how long, you know. So that was the early witch trials. Later centuries, constant attempts to defeat heresy brought to light a number of figures who were difficult to reconcile with Christianity. Such figures were typically created without reference to witchcraft at all, but led the creations of figures of the heretic witch. One such figure was particular to the Western Alps. Oh, this is interesting. So this is how the idea of what we view witches, how's it going, Talamir? Or what we view witches to be like. So one such figure was peculiar to the Western Alps. She was a female embodiment of winter, a female figure often called Bertha or Perchta. She punished social disobedience and rewarded goodness. She was always portrayed as an old hag because she represented cold and winter. It did not take long for intellectuals to note her resemblance to the witches with whom they were familiar from classical literature. Oh, friends! Perchta, if you remember when we did the Krampus, deep dive, Perchta was the mother of what we effectively worked out was the Krampus myth. It was Perchta's children that were effectively the Krampuses. And every year, the women of the Western Alps would dress as Perchta, displaying their breasts and looking fearsome. And they would, if I remember correctly, it was like a big festival where they would basically find guilty parties that were being naughty and beat them, you know. That's why I respect Lilith Adam's first wife. She was for that property and Boeing. Oh yeah. Well, that whole Adam, Eve and Lilith thing is an interesting dynamic in and of itself. The Silurian women, Celtic tribe, would fight the men in battle. Fight with the men in battle, just standing up for yourself if they had beef with you. While people are cruel. Yeah. Well, a lot of the Nordic nations as well, you would find that women would fight in battle just as much as men. In fact, and all genders outside in between, it didn't make a difference. If you were a warrior, you were a warrior. You know, historical Germany killing loads of people? No, surely not. They were very efficient at it. You know. Lot and his brother Terry founded the first casino. Oh, God, Talamir. Why do they condemn Cain so much? Yeah, he committed the first murder, but how could he know what would happen when he struck his brother? It's true. I mean, there's a whole load of situations that, there's adverts on. Let me do the adverts first. Let me talk about stuff first. So, friends, while these adverts are running, because I don't like people to miss out on shit, do you know what I mean? While these adverts are running, let's talk about what is coming up in the community. Stuff and things. So today, obviously, we're doing Mythical Mondays with witches. Let me tell you about what's happening for the rest of the time. On the 28th of January at 11:30 a.m., I will be doing an extra stream. I will be doing an extra stream here on twitch.tv/Val and Vane. Because it is my stream team's, the Octopus and Dragon, we are doing a charity stream. We're doing a charity stream for Hope for the Day. Excuse me, which are a mental health and suicide prevention charity. So, if you would like to come along on Sunday, the 28th, that's this Sunday, how's it going, Real W? Hello, you beautiful bean. Then please do so. We'll be raising money to help that wonderful charity. They are an international charity that do amazing work. I have raised money for them before, but this time we're doing it direct. We are not using any third parties. It's the whole stream team. We're doing a raid train, so literally we're going from one streamer to the next streamer to the next streamer. So I'll start, and then a little way into my stream, a whole load of people will raid into us, and then when we're finished, like 2.5 hours in or what have you, we'll raid over to the next people. Okay, I'll have a whole load of incentives. I'll have a load of stuff going on. That's gonna be great. So that's the 28th, 11:30 a.m. GMT. We'll be doing a charity stream with the Octopus and Dragon stream team. Okay. Then on February the 14th of February, we are naturally once again rolling into Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, where I date the community. So I'll be dressing all suited and booted, and I would like the community to dress that way as well. We have a section in the Discord where people can put up their pictures of them dressing all delightful and making the effort, dressing to impress. I'm going to date the community. We'll go through people's like romance stories. We'll talk about like people's amazing outfits. We'll do all kinds of bits and pieces because, you know, it's Valentine's Day, you know? Then on February the 19th is the next Mythical Mondays. February the 19th is the next Mythical Monday. And we are going to be looking at Succubus. We're going to be looking at the Succubus myths.
Yeah, you subscribed. Most kind.
Amlan, you cheeky devil. I'll get to you momentarily. Thank you very much for coming back for the 3 months. I'm just doing all my cheeky little announcements. So yeah, on the 19th of February, we're going to be doing the Succubus mythos. That's the next Mythical Mondays. We'll probably look at Succubus and Incubus as well. It really depends on the how much they're going to cross over in regards to the myths and stuff. But I thought with it being the month of love, it makes sense that we look at the sex demon. Do you know what I mean? Makes sense we look at the sex demon. So you won't be there you won't miss February 14th. I appreciate it. And then lastly on my my calendar list at the moment is February the 25th of February at 7 p.m. GMT. We will be doing our next movie night, which is a movie night that we do in the Discord, where people just pile in and we all sit and watch a movie. We always have subtitles on for inclusivity and accessibility, and we are going to be watching the Moulin Rouge. Again, with it being Sexy Romance Month, I figured watch the Moulin Rouge. Thank you very much, Nibirian, for throwing that out there. Appreciate it. So we've got a busy schedule up until the end of February, doing lots of different pieces, different bits and pieces and stuff and things and what have you. So yeah, that's all fun and games. And now the adverts are finished, we can get back to the wild, wonderful world of witches. But yeah, so the Perchta is really interesting that the Perchta was the god, the equivalent goddess of what's the word I'm looking for? The end of winter and the beginning of it. She was the goddess of renewal, effectively. But she also was the goddess of all of the wild beasts across the Alps, which was fucking great. Because we discovered that when we did our deep dive on Krampus. And it's really interesting that aesthetic has been compared to that of witches, you know? Midwinter, yeah. Well, it's like midwinter, and then because the idea was, as I remember it, and it's a little while ago. Oh, I'm going to do the thing. As I remember it, the situation was that Perchta basically purged the bad, so that when the new year set in, when the new spring set in, there was nothing but good left. All of the bad had been punished by that point, and that way you could start a new year with new hope and what have yous, you know. Amlan, I should not describe your name upon the mirror vein. By having your name upon the mirror vein, it means you get access to my personal Snapchat, not a bum Snapchat. We've talked about this, you cheeky devil. And of course, you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you got to roll over every morning, look in the mirror. Oh, God, I look rough. But goddamn, do I make rough look good. Ooh, sexy. Oh, yes, meow, you know? You know, you cheeky devil. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting, but not really relevant. So I'm not going to dig into that a little bit. We'll talk about modern day witches in a minute. Oh yeah, and then the Renaissance German painter Albrecht Dürer basically bringing about the hag look, or the hexe look. If anyone wants next for Valentine's Day, Wales has ours on the 25th of this month. Patron saint of lovers.
Most kind.
She has a story
Quick
spanning.
distraction.
Oh my lordy! Aphelion Band, quick! It was a distraction. It did distract me. What was I even fucking doing? She does have a story about spurning unwanted lovers, thus ending result she could have been considered a witch. Oh, interesting. Intriguing, Asari. Intriguing. Start the new year with new hope and finish it with Return of the Jedi. Basically, yeah, basically. Alvelion Panda, you beautiful being. I should not describe your name on the mirror vein. By having your name on the mirror vein means you get access to my personal Snapchat. Not a bum Snapchat, you cheeky devil. And of course you get access to all the sexy little emotes. But the most important thing is you go roll over every morning, look in the mirror, go, God, I look rough. But god damn, do I make rough look good. Ooh, sexy. Oh, yes, meow. You know? You know, you cheeky devil. I have quite a few subscriptions today. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. Right, let me have a look, because I want to have a look at a couple of things, right? We looked at the King James. We've done all this stuff. Looked at the Witch of Endor. Okay, witchcraft. So, in accordance with the UK Parliament, the 1542 Parliament passed the witchcraft. So what I want to do now is I want to look at the most recent trials of witchcraft. So we have a very brief look at the Salem witch trials. We've talked about the Inquisitional witch trials from the 1400s through to the 1600s, and like what it was to be accused of witchcraft, what the tests were to prove you're a witch and what have you. And we had a look at the Salem witch trials and what the parallels therein. But now I want to quickly look at the legal side of it and talk about the most recently one. Okay, so in the UK government specifically, the 1542 Parliament passed the Witchcraft Act, which defined witchcraft as a crime punishable by death. It was repealed 5 years later, but restored again in 1562. A further law was passed in 1604 during the reign of James I, naturally, who took a keen interest in demonology and even published a book in it. In 1562 and 1604, the act transferred the trial of witches from the church to ordinary courts. Witch hunting, formal accusation against witches, who were usually poor elderly women, reached a peak in the late 16th century, particularly in southeast England. 513 witches were put on trial between 1560 and 1700, though only 112 were actually executed. The last known execution took place in 1685. The last trials were held in 1717 in Leicester. Overall, some 500 people in England are believed to have been executed for witchcraft. Magical powers. In 1736, Parliament passed an act repealing the law against witchcraft, but imposing fines or imprisonment on people who claimed to be able to use magical powers. When it was introduced in the Commons, the bill caused much laughter among MPs. Its promoter was John Conduit, whose wife was a niece of Sir Isaac Newton, a father of modern science, although keenly interested in the occult. The act was repealed in 1951 by the Fraudulent Mediums Act, which in turn was repealed in 2008. In 1824, Parliament passed a Vagrancy Act, under which fortune-telling, astrology, and spiritualism became punishable offensive. So actually, there's a whole load of stuff that people do that is still punishable offensive. Punishable offenses, you know? No worries, we're in the Wolf Town. You take it easy. Sleep well, you beautiful bean. But there was a much later one. Witchcraft trial in the 1900s. Because there was a trial that I am trying to find. Where a woman was... Do you know what I might be able to do instead? I might be able to find... Oh, shit. What's his name? I might be able to find the whole thing. Because basically there was a woman in the early 1900s who was talking about who basically was turning around to families and saying, all of your children, all of your sons that have died in the war, I can contact them and I can oh my god, my words today are terrible. I can contact your dead loved ones and pass on messages and get messages from them. And it was a hoax that was produced by this woman and another guy. And effectively, there was military police who went in and were like, you can't fucking do this. And they were like, why can't we do this? And they were like, shit. We have no grounds. We have no grounds to be able to actually stop this woman from doing what she's doing. And then they realized that the only grounds they could do was the witchcraft trials. Helen Duncan? Yeah, yes, it was. Thank you very much, Amlan. Fucking well done. Well done. The original... Oh, hold on. Oh, that's about the saint. All right, no, sorry, I'll check that out in a bit. So, Helen Duncan, originally born Victoria Helen McRae Duncan, was the Scottish medium best known as the last person to be imprisoned under the Witchcraft Act 1735 for fraudulent claims. She was famous for producing ectoplasm, which proved to be made from cheesecloth. In 1926, she developed from clairvoyant to physical medium by offering seances in which she claimed to be able to permit the spirits of the recently deceased persons to materialize by emitting ectoplasm from her mouth. In 1928, photographer Harvey Metcalf attended a series of seances at Duncan's home. During the seance, he took various flash photographs of Duncan and her alleged materialization of spirits, including her spirit guide, Peggy. His photographs revealed that the spirits were fraudulently produced. Duncan's equipment included a doll made from painted papier-mâché mask draped in an old sheet. In 1931, the London Spiritualist Alliance examined Duncan's methods. An early examination of a piece of Duncan's ectoplasm revealed it was made of cheesecloth, paper mixed with the white of an egg and lavatory paper stuck together. one of Duncan's tricks was to swallow and regurgitate some of the ectoplasm. She was persuaded to swallow the tablet of methylene blue before one of her seances by the LCA committee to rule out any chance of this trick being performed. And because of this, no ectoplasm appeared. The committee concluded the report the material was swallowed by Mrs. Duncan at some time previous to the sitting and subsequently regurgitated by her for the performance, for the purposes of an exhibition. Harry Price's investigation. Okay. How's it going, Unicorn Mom? How you doing? DIY Ghost. Effectively, yeah. How's it going, Spooky Scarecrow? Hello, you beautiful bean. So, a piece of ectoplasm from one of Duncan's earlier seances was obtained and secured in a bottle of distilled water. It was given to physical researcher Harry Price, who was originally enthusiastic about the sample. However, when he gave the sample to a chemist for analysis, it was discovered it was made of egg white mixed with chemicals, blah, blah, blah. 1931, Price paid Duncan £50 to conduct a number of test seances. She was suspected of swallowing cheesecloth, which regurgitated into ectoplasm. Yeah, all that jazz. Duncan frequently had nosebleeds during seances. William Brown suggested another Duncan hiding place for her fake ectoplasm. Okay, 1933, her conviction. In a seance on the 6th of January 1933 in Edinburgh, the spirit of a little girl called Peggy supposedly emerged in the seance room. A sitter named Essen Morley, grabbed her, and the lights were turned on, and the spirit was revealed to be made from a stocking net undervest. The police were called, and Duncan was prosecuted and fined £10. The undervest was used as evidence, which led to Duncan's conviction of fraudulent mediumship at the Edinburgh Sheriff Court on 11th of May 1933. Spiritualist journal Light endorsed the court's decision, and Duncan was a fraudulent and supported Price investigation that revealed her ectoplasm was cheesecloth. So she was the last person to actually be convicted under the Witchcraft Act of 1735. Fucking hell. What's this? Extra stuff. She went on to do more? Duncan found to be in possession of mock ship that had been sank. Oh, okay. So during World War II, in November 1941, Duncan held a seance in Portsmouth, which she claimed... So this was after. So she got convicted in 1933. And then in 1941, she was back at it. She was back at it, friends. How's it going, Matty, again? How you doing? I have a question, possibly two, depending on the answer. By all means, ask away. Baltic is still really windy. Oh, it's fucking freezing here. Absolutely fucking freezing here. How you doing, Unicorn Mom, you beautiful bean? I'm getting well into this, can you tell? So during World War II in November 1941, Duncan held a seance in Portsmouth, which she claimed that the spirit materialization of a sailor told her that HMS Barham had been sunk. Because the sinking of HMS Barham was revealed in strict confidence only to the relatives of the casualties and not announced to the public until late January 1942. So a year afterwards, effectively. 6 months afterwards. The Navy started to take an interest in her activities. 2 lieutenants were among her audience at a seance on the 14th of January 1944. One of these was a Lieutenant Worth, who was not impressed as the white cloth figure had appeared behind the curtains, claiming to be his aunt. But he had no deceased aunt. In the same sitting, another figure appeared... claiming to be his sister, but Worth replied that his sister was alive and well. Worth was disgusted by the seance and reported it to the police. This was followed up on the 19th of January, when undercover policemen arrested her at another seance as a white shrouded manifestation appeared. This proved to be Duncan herself in a white cloth, which she attempted to conceal when discovered, and she was arrested. Blah, 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 blah. Why / do you know that your raids are turned off? I do know that my raids are turned off. I turn them off on specific streams, but also like when I'm coming towards the end of a thing. Like I'm digging deep into this stuff, but I appreciate the thought of you wanting to raid me. I do appreciate that. I just don't want to disrupt the stuff too much on these Mythical Mondays. It's pretty much the only one that I actually properly turn off my raids for, you know? The fraudulent medium acts. That's why I was curious. No, not a problem at all. I appreciate people wanting to raid me. But yeah, for stuff like this, when we're deep diving things, I do turn off raids so that I don't get too disrupted from what we're doing, because I know how things can get. But most of the time I keep my raids on until like the last half an hour, 40 minutes of a stream. So that I'm basically so that people that are coming in are still gonna get like their viewers worth. Do you know what I mean? That's the fraudulent media act. So yeah, the fraudulent media act. So so then there was a whole researcher thing. Leaking concerns about HMS Barham was later discovered. Secretary of the First Sea Lord had been indiscreet to a Professor Michael Poston of the Ministry of Economic Wars. Poston said that he believed he had been told officially and was not arrested. Okay, cool. Duncan was found to be in possession of a mocked-up HMS Barham hat band, apparently related to the alleged manifestation of a spirit on the dead sailor of the HMS Barham. She was initially arrested under Section 4 of the Vagrancy Act of 1824, a minor offence tried by magistrates. The authorities regarded the case as more serious and eventually discovered that Section 4 of the Witchcraft Act of 1735 covered fraudulent spiritual activity, which was triable before a jury. Charged alongside her for conspiracy to contravene this act were Ernest and Elizabeth Homer, who operated the Psychic Centre in Portsmouth, and Francis Brown, who was Duncan's agent and went with her to set up the seances. There were 7 counts of two of conspiracy to contravene the Witchcraft Act, 2 of obtaining money by false pretenses, and 3 of common law offences of public mischief. The prosecution may be explained by the mood of suspicion prevailing at the time. Blah blah blah. So yeah, so effectively, they tried her on what they could try her on, which was Section 4 of the Vagrancy Act, and then when this is too serious, the way you are misleading people and frauding people and what have you, it's too serious for it to just be this. What else can we throw at her? Oh shit, the Witchcraft Act of 1735 is still technically legal. Let's do that. Let's put her in prison. So she was one of the last people convicted under the Witchcraft Act of 1735, which made falsely claiming to procure spirits a crime. She was sentenced to 9 months imprisonment. When convicted, she cried out, "I have done nothing. Is there a God?" On her release in 1945, Duncan promised to stop conducting seances, but she was arrested during another one in 1956. She died at her home in Edinburgh a short time later. Duncan's trial almost certainly contributed to the repeal of the Witchcraft Act, which was contained in the Fraudulent Mediums Act of 1951. Wow, that is wild. So yeah, that was the one I wanted to talk about, because I was just like, I remember there being, like, in the last 100 years, I remember there being a trial of the witchcraft. And the fact that yeah, so she was there. That was her. That was the last one. The other thing I did want to talk about very quickly was, before we talk about modern day witches, was why witches rode brooms. the fucking absolute genuine joy of why witches ride brooms. Ah, it's beautiful. It's genuinely beautiful. So, we all know the vision of the witch riding a broomstick, cackling into the sky. Cackling into the sky. Okay, so it's uncertain when the broom itself was actually invented, because the word broom actually comes from a particular plant or shrub that was used to make early sweeping devices, gradually replaced the Old English word besom, though both terms appear to have been used until the 18th century. From the beginning, brooms and besoms were associated with women, and this ubiquitous household object became a powerful symbol of female domesticity. Huh? Despite this, the first witch to confess to riding a broom was a man. Guillaume Edelin. Edelin was a priest from Saint-Germain-en-Laye, near Paris. He was arrested in 1453 and tried for witchcraft after publicly criticizing the church's warnings about witches. His confessions came under torture and eventually repented, but he was still imprisoned for life. By the time Edelin's confession, the idea of witches riding around on broomsticks was already well established. The earliest known image of a witch riding on a broom dates to 1451, when two illustrations appeared in the French poet Martin Lefranc's manuscript, Les Champions des Dames, the Defenders of the Ladies. In the two drawings, one woman soars through the air on a broom, and the others fly aboard white plain sticks. Both wear headscarves that identify them as Waldensians, members of the Christian sect founded in 12th century, who were branded as heretics by the Catholic Church, partly because they allowed women to become priests. Notice the theme? Notice the theme. Anthologist Robin Skelton suggests that there is an association between witches and brooms, may have rooted in the pagan fertility ritual, which rural farmers would leap and dance astride poles, pitchforks, or brooms in the light of the full moon, and encourage the growth of their crops. The growth of their crops. This broomstick dance, she writes, became confused with common accounts of witches flying through the night on their way to orgies or other illicit meetings. However, there is another origin that's slightly kinkier. How's it going, Solid? How you doing? Front porch is full of witches' brooms, very inviting to strangers. Exactly. The champion of the ladies. The irony, right? So, according to this article in The Atlantic, says it all started with bread. In Europe of the Middle Ages and into the Renaissance, bread was made in a large part with rye, and rye-like plants can host fungus, also known as ergot. Ergot, when consumed in high doses, can be lethal. It's true. However, in smaller doses, ergot can be a powerful hallucinogen. Good old narcotics. Good old narcotics, friends. Records from the 14th to the 17th century mention that Europeans' affliction with dancing mania, which found groups of people dancing through the streets, often speaking nonsense and foaming at the mouth as they did so, until they collapsed from exhaustion. Those who experienced the mania would later describe wild visions that accompanied them. In the 20th century, Albert Hoffman would realize the psychedelic effects of LSD while studying ergot. So ergot came for LSD came from witches getting high. All right, happy lethal mushrooms. So people, as people are wont to do, adapted this knowledge, figuring out ways to tame ergot, essentially for hallucinatory purposes, and they experimented with other plants as well. Forbes' David Kroll notes that there are also hallucinogenic chemicals in deadly nightshade, henbane, mandrake, and Jimson weed. Writing in the 16th century, the Spanish court physician Andres de Laguna claimed to have taken a pot full of certain green ointment composed of herbs such as hemlock, nightshade, henbane, and mandrake from the home of a couple accused of witchcraft. So where do the brooms fit in? Where do the brooms fit in? Wasn't LSD a thing back in the wars to combat pain? LSD has been used for all kinds of things, but the main thing that most people will probably remember it for is experiments in mind control. Experiments in mind control. There was a whole thing about basically microdosing people into affecting their brains so that they believed the things that you wanted them to believe. That kind of shit, do you know what I mean? Berserkers were taking mushrooms too. The mania made them immune to pain and gave them courage. Yes. Yeah. There was a big thing about berserkers, especially across like the Goth region, which is now modern day Germany, where you would have your troops and then you would have your berserkers, and the berserkers would, like you say, dose themselves up so they couldn't feel fucking anything, run into battle, fuck shit up, because they had heightened everything, and then collapse effectively if they didn't die. Foaming at the mouth sounds like a typical Friday night on town nowadays, to be fair. So, where do the brooms fit in? Because to achieve their hallucinations, the early drug users needed a distribution method that was a little more complicated than simple ingestion. When consumed, the old-school hallucinogens could cause assorted unpleasantness, including nausea, vomiting, and skin irritation. What people realized, though, was that absorbing them through the skin could lead to hallucinations that arrived without the unsavory effects. And the most receptive area of the body? You guessed it. The mighty Cave of Wonders. The Orchid of Joy. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The Lips That Long to Be Kissed. So effectively, what it came down to was that people, these wonderful herbalists, would take various different mushroom or funguses like ergot, rub the dosage on their broom handles, and literally ride them. Ride them till they got into a dancing frenzy. And the hallucinations were all kinds of wild. It just makes me happy. It makes me happy that that was the thing where the people are like, oh my god, these witches riding brooms, and it's just like, you know. So yeah, that was something that I just wanted to shoehorn in there just because I fucking love the history behind it, you know. Okay. Nowadays witches. Modern day witches of the Western world still struggle to shake their historical stereotype. Most practice Wicca. As we discussed earlier, Wicca means wise one. An official religion that is actually, it's actually recognized as an official religion in the United States and Canada. Wiccans avoid evil and the appearance of evil at all costs. Their motto is to harm none. And they strive to live peaceful, tolerant, and balanced lives in tune with nature and humanity. Many modern-day witches still perform witchcraft, but there is seldom anything sinister about it. Their spells and incantations are often derived from their Book of Shadows, which is a 20th century collection of wisdom and witchcraft, and can be compared to the act of prayer in other religions. A modern-day witchcraft potion is more likely to be a herbal remedy for the flu instead of a hex to harm somebody. Today, witchcraft spells are usually used to stop someone from doing evil or from harming themselves. Ironically, while it's probable some historical witches uses witchcraft for evil purposes, many may have embraced it for the healing or protection against the immorality that they were accused of. But witches, whether accused or unaccused, or whether actual or accused, still face persecution and death. Several men and women suspected of using witchcraft have been beaten and killed in Papua New Guinea since 2010. Including a young mother who was burned alive. Similar episodes of violence against the people accused of being witches have occurred in Africa, South Africa, and the Middle East, and in immigrant communities in Europe and the United States. So, as much as in fact, there was very recently a TikTok, a young individual on TikTok who had their own shop. They had a shop full of trinkets and knickknacks. It was full of various different ornaments, lots of Wiccan iconography, and just your classic stuff. The kind of place that you would go to buy incense and candles. That kind of thing. A lot of goth stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But one of the things that the shop owner did is they did tarot readings. So they performed the service for a monetary value. They performed the service of reading someone's tarot cards, okay? Or reading tarot cards for somebody, however you want to put it, right? And this was literally within the past 4 months. All right, I saw this literally within the past 4 months, and the local constabulary, the police, and not only the police, but like the chief of the local police, decided to pay them a visit. The police chief, with a couple of their officers, decided to wander on in, balls clanging with how fucking Billy Big Balls they were, and basically subtly threaten within the realms of the law. You know? Not say anything, but just be like, you aren't welcome here. You aren't allowed to be practicing witchcraft here. There are state laws against it. And not that there are. Not that there are. Everything that they seem to have put forward has been completely found to be bollocks. But they've effectively just tried to bully her out of, or bully them, should I say? I'm not sure of their gender. They've tried to bully them out of their livelihood because they don't want a witch in their area. So as much as it is interesting to go back, find the origins of the witches, the fact that they were sorcerers and seers, and that has been interpreted into witchcraft, like the idea that sorcery was good magic and witchcraft was evil magic. And then as time went on, we got past all of the centuries of the various different religions, and then we hit the wonderful King James, and he just went, nope, all magic is witchcraft, and therefore evil. Right the way through to today, where we literally still have people being beaten, killed, and harassed for practicing their own religion. So it's a somber note to end on, I have to say, but it was a very, very interesting journey, I have to say. I did very much enjoy the interesting journey, especially the broom bit, you know. Brooms were inserted or rubbed against, exactly. Wicca is actually a baby belief system. Was created and distributed by Gerald Gardner in the 50s. It's a hodgepodge of pagan beliefs with a focus of feminine and divine. Yes. Like I said at the very, 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 very beginning of the thingy, Wicca just means wise one. The concept of it being a fully fledged religion, I don't know too much about. Like you say, it's a very young religion because it was, or if what you're saying is correct there, Pixie Bomb, it's created and it has a selection of various different pagan religions shoehorned into it, effectively, you know? So I can get it, I can understand it, but if it is that whole idea of like the balance of humanity and nature and the spirituality of that, I've got no qualms with it. I've got no qualms with it, you know? Got no qualms with it. As again, Jenny, actually, Broombit made my day. Broombit made my day. When I first found out about that, fucking loved it. Absolutely fucking loved it. But yeah, that's where we're at for the joys of the deep dive into witches, which was delightfully fascinating. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I genuinely did. I do enjoy these little deep dives that we have on Twitch about the Mythical Mondays and stuff, and learning about all these new and interesting things. I just find it really, really, really interesting, you know? Really, really interesting. So thank you, everybody, for joining me on that. But that is what I'm going to call it. That is what I'm going to call it, because I've had a fucking wonderful time, and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I don't want to keep digging into other stuff, because I think we've covered pretty much all of the most interesting elements of it, for sure. But yes, we are now going to go and raid somebody. Friends, if you could stick around for the raid, even if it's on like 5-10 minutes, to go throw some love at another delightful individual, I would very, very, very much appreciate it. If you, if you can stick around just 5-10 minutes, that'd be wonderful. Wasn't able to say this, but what you read on modern witchcraft is only a very small part of it. Witchcraft is not necessarily tied to religion, as an example. Oh, yeah. There's a massive thing within witchcraft, and witchcraft is very, from what I understand, modern witchcraft is very personal to the person. It's a very personal thing to the person that is practicing it. There are a whole variety of people. There'll be a hell of a lot of witches that do not consider themselves Wiccan, as Pixie Bomb said. It's a very young religion, but they view it as like they'll have their own religion in association with it, or one of the old pagan religions that they follow, you know. Enjoy these two. Thank you all for the comfy cozy streams. I appreciate it. I appreciate all being here. I really do. Like I said, friends, if you can stick around for the raid, I would really appreciate it, even if it's on like 5-10 minutes. Let me have a go look at who we can raid. But in the meantime, could you do me a massive favor and throw out some mod loves in the channel? You can use any kind of mod loves from any kind of channel. You can use any kind of love hearts from any kind of channel. Say a massive thank you to those wonderful moderators. Mods, thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for all that you do. I very, very much appreciate it. You glorious, glorious beings, as always. As always, you spectacular specimens of humankind. Thanks so much for all you do in and out of stream, because I know that you do many things for me out of stream, and you also do many things for this community out of stream. Let me have a gander. Who can we go throw some love at? Ooh. We could go see you. Oh, we could go see you. We haven't seen this person in a while. We haven't seen this person in a while. And they're a wonderfully quirky, delightful individual who we love very dearly. We do love a quirky, delightful individual. Yeah, let's go see this person. Let's go see this person. Friends, if you're a subscriber, please copy and paste the second raid message. If you're not a subscriber, please copy and paste the first raid message. It's weird with them being the wrong way around. Samurai Afro, how you doing? You've come in out just as we're raiding out, I'm afraid. Just as we're raiding out. But if you'd like to stick around for the raid, I'd really appreciate it. That's the first Bot of Vein raid message for non-subscribers. The second Bot of Vein raid message for subscribers. It's normally the other way around, so it confused me a little bit. But it's all good. But it's all good. We're going to go raid somebody we haven't checked out in a little while, but they have always been a happy-go-lucky scamp of an individual. Make sure I spell their name right. Friends, if you could stick around, I would appreciate it. Let's go raid the nice lady over there. The nice lady over there, who is a glorious artist, a very, very, very talented artist, but they are also filthy. Filthy. If you enjoy the weird-ass, peculiar conversations that we have in this channel, then there is a very good chance that you will enjoy the weird-ass, peculiar conversations they have in their channel as well. Friends, if you are not up in the raid up here, please click on the link down here so that we can go throw some love at this delightful, wonderful, spectacular bean. Because they are glorious and spectacular and wonderful. Friends, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for the raids, the hosts, the subs. Well, I said there's been no raids because I turned them off. Thank you very much for the subs, the gift subs, all the cheeky little bitties. Thanks so much for spending your time here. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your input when we were digging deep into stuff and you came out with little bits and pieces that I'd forgotten or I needed to look up or you spurred my memory on about a variety of different things. I really, really appreciate it, you glorious beans. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. GMT. That's 1 p.m. British time, where we're going to be continuing on being the Filth Wizard, continuing our witchcraft of hedonism throughout the lands of Faerun, all right? Until then, friends, don't do anything I wouldn't do, because if I wouldn't do it, it'll fucking kill you. I'll see you all later. Bye, 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 bye.